The countdown is on. A Sky original, Ferrari. The gripping new film is almost here.
All of us are racers. It's our deadly passion. Our terrible joy.
Starring Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz.
You were supposed to save me. You promised me you wouldn't die.
The father deluded himself! If you get into one of my cars, you get in the win.
A Sky original, Ferrari. Only in cinemas Boxing Day.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with lookers.co.uk. Choose from 30 manufacturers and over 6,000 vehicles online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on League Cup final day at Hampden. The season's first piece of silverware goes up for grabs for Rangers and Aberdeen. For Philippe Clement, the chance to win silverware early on in his career at a club that's not won it since 2011. And for Barry Robson, maybe a first trophy as a manager. Plenty to play for at the National Stadium. And I'm joined by Kenny Miller and Gordon Dalziel.
Yeah, fantastic afternoon ahead, Gordon. It's all about who will lift that trophy at the end of the day. The weather is doing its best to waste this game, but I'm looking down at that pitch. The pitch is in absolutely brilliant condition. A striker's pitch, Kenny. Bags of gold and excitement.
Absolutely, always gambling on those mistakes with centre backs and goalkeepers. But yeah, both teams coming in off the back of wonderful European results through the week, finishing off their respective Europa Conference and Europa League campaigns off really, really well. Obviously Rangers qualifying, so all we play for here today in the first silverware of the season.
Trophies, bragging rights, it is all up for grabs this afternoon. We are here in the wind and the rain at the National Stadium taking it all in, but in the warmth of Clyde One HQ you have Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
Consider the last 4 days for Rangers. They go to Seville and they beat Real Betis to top their Europa League group they are into, the last 16. Yesterday, the title race was put in their hands by Celtic's defeat at home to Hearts. If Rangers win their games in hand, they are top of the league and they have yet to go to Celtic Park on December 30. Today, in his 14th game as Rangers manager, Philippe Clement could have the pivotal experience of winning his first trophy for Rangers and the first major trophy of the season, a down payment on a possible treble. What is the case to be made for Aberdeen? Only this, that they have played Rangers twice this season, beaten them once and drawn with them. That's because they rise above themselves when they play against Rangers. They don't try harder, they simply rise above the team that today sits joint second bottom of the Premiership table, Mark.
Yeah, we've got a fantastic afternoon ahead, and look at you guys there in the stadium to take it all in, because if it's anything like the league game, the preview that we had just a couple of weeks ago, it'll be a fantastic occasion. And after that, both teams have been in some pretty good form, European and domestic, so plenty of quality on the pitch today. As ever, team news will be interesting. I'm sure it's just round the corner.
It is just round the corner. I don't know what is even closer than round the corner, Mark Wilson, because we can bring you it right now. Lots of question marks going into a big cup final as to who should play and who shouldn't. Rangers have injuries and suspensions and various other absences. Aberdeen made changes the other night but did ever so well with a much changed team, so Gabriel has the answers.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Gordon. Let's start with Rangers. And as you say, much has been made of the injury problems faced by Philippe Clement's side, especially in midfield today. Dujon Sterling is the man who starts in the centre of the park. Not his usual position, what will surely be the biggest game of his career. He is one of 3 changes from that brilliant 3-2 win against Real Betis on Thursday night. Todd Cantwell and Leon Balogun are back in as well. Sam Lammers drops to the bench. Ben Davies and Jose Cifuentes miss out altogether. So here's the team then for the showpiece occasion. Jack Butland is in goal. It's a defence of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, Leon Balogun and Borna Barisic. John Lundstrom is in the middle of the park with Dujon Sterling. Ross McCausland will play on one wing with Abdullah Sima on the other. Todd Cantwell plays in the hole behind Cyril Dessers, who leads the line. The substitutes today: McCrory, Ridvan, Suter, Lammers, Matondo, Dowell, Wright, Roof and King. And what about Barry Robson's side? Of course, they had that fantastic 2-0 win against Eintracht Frankfurt just a few days ago. And as you say, Gordon, it was a much-changed side then. He's rung the changes again. 8 from Thursday. Only Roos, Gartenmann and Rubezic keep their place. So it will be a 5-3-2 formation. Kellerus in goal. A defence of Nicky Devlin, Stefan Gartenmann, Slobodan Rubezic, Richard Jensen and Johnny Hayes. Midfield will be Graham Shinney and Leighton Clarkson, with Jamie McGrath just in front of them. Esther Sokler. Partners Bojan Miovski up front. The substitutes for the Dons today: Duhan, Barron, Duke, McGarry, Morris, Palvara, Duncan, McDonald and Milne. Just one other point on the Aberdeen team, Gordon. It's only one change from the side that drew 1-1 at Pittodrie against Rangers last month. They were just minutes away, of course, from beating them, and expect their game plan to be very similar today.
Kenny Miller, what jumps out from that Rangers team at you? What's the headline?
I think Balogun coming back in, even though it was expected for me. Cantwell coming back in again, also expected. As Dujon Sterling is obviously the standout one, because he's still a very, very young player, even in his career, never mind his Rangers career. So to be thrown into a cup final, into a role that is pretty foreign to you. I mean, I must say, I think he done pretty well in the second half across in Seville against Betis on Thursday night. The one thing about him, he's got legs. You know, he can cover the distance in there alongside John Lundstrom. And you know what? He's no stranger to actually venturing forward as well, as I've seen a few times in his last couple of appearances. So that would be the big one for me, because in terms of ball handling and building things as a midfielder, it's not particularly a strong point.
Yeah, Gordon Dalziel, it's hard to look beyond that. This is only Dujon Sterling's third start as a Rangers player. He's a right back, he's sometimes a centre back, and his third start comes in a cup final in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I think the lad will be delighted to get the opportunity, Gordon. It doesn't matter where you play, it's a cup final. And Kenny will tell you, and Mark in the studio, everybody wants to be involved in this. So he'll enjoy that challenge. I think Kenny touches on it. I think Cantwell coming back into the side is a big plus for him. Balogun, he seems to really like Balogun and Golson as that centre-half pair. And the man in form just now for me, Seema up front, he'll be a big danger this afternoon.
And when you look at the Aberdeen team, it's an incredible build-up to this game, because it was a dead rubber in Europe, so Barry Robson makes 8 changes, but they then go and put in a spectacular performance and results. You sort of wondered how that would play into his mind, but he's made a lot of changes again, brought a lot of the guys that were rested back into the team. Is it that front two? Is it that Miovski, Sokler? Is that the bit that really tells you how he wants to approach this game?
Well, I think again he's had good success against Rangers over the time, against two managers now, Michael Beale and Philippe Clement. So he's got a blueprint there to how to get a result against Rangers. Again, I think within that you need a bit of luck. You need to take your moments within the game. But I just wondered if there would be someone from that game on Thursday night who's potentially played his way into Barry Robson's thoughts, because it's a team that, like Hugh said at the top of the show, is struggling at the bottom of the league, you know, so these players have not been in particularly great form over the course of the season. So with that result, that incredible result against Frankfurt on Thursday night, could anybody have played their way in? Well, Barry's gave us his answer. The answer's no, and it's a familiar look to that team. The
only thing I would say here, I totally agree with your league form, Kenny. I think they've been very, very poor. But I look at that front two. I think if Aberdeen can get service to them today from the Midley Park or wide areas, these guys are capable of putting the ball in the back of net. And Sokler showed that the other night there. Terrific goal. Miovski, everybody's talking about how good a player he is. Should Celtic or Rangers or one of them go and take a punt on him, everybody agrees that he could go and play at that level, no problem. But it's all about getting that service if you're going to put pressure on Rangers' defence today.
Mark Wilson, looking at both teams at the same time, if that makes sense, what tactically is jumping out from that team sheet at you?
Oh well, the big one for Rangers, no doubt about it, is the centre of the pitch for them. Dujon Sterling coming in, Kenny mentioned it there, quite young into his Rangers career, making only his third start in that position where he's going to be up against arguably Aberdeen's strongest three competitors. I get Miovski at the top end of the pitch, but when you look at Jamie McGrath, Clarkson and Shinney in there, that's going to be an interesting one. I think for Rangers as well, young McCausland, who's sort of lit up the Rangers side since he's come in, again very early into his Rangers career, but handed a start on the big occasion, so it's a big afternoon for him. And for Aberdeen, well, I agree, Kenny's right, it was such a great result on Thursday night. You wondered if Barry would think about some of those players. However, the argument is they've played Rangers twice this season, arguably their best two performances, especially that one away at Ibrox. So for me, probably no surprise that he's went with the same shape and similar personnel to the results he got on that day.
Hugh Keevins, if these guys are going to cast their eye over the tactics and formation, I'll ask you to give us the psychological look at this one. How beneficial is it that both teams do come into this feeling pretty good about themselves?
I think it lends to the occasion, Gordon. You could have had a situation whereby Rangers were out of the Europa League and Aberdeen out of Europe altogether, but both returned terrific results and performances. I think Rangers' performance in Seville was the best performance and result returned by a Scottish club in any competition, domestic or European, this season. And when I go back over Philippe Clement and his time at Ibrox, for this to be game 14, the man has put Rangers into the last 16 of a European competition. He is 2 games in hand away from being top of the league, and today he could have the first trophy of his tenure at Ibrox in just 14 games. He is the blue Postecoglou. On the other side of the pitch, you have Barry Robson, who has battled everyone, saying that Aberdeen are not good enough this season, but they rise above themselves and they are not. I'll try and talk above you two if it's okay. I'll go back over my point while you talk amongst yourselves. Aberdeen have risen above themselves for cup matches and important European games, and they are capable, and they have the draw and the defeat against Rangers this season to make sure that they go into this game not as underdogs, not as sacrificial lambs, but a team with a chance. And that's why there are 17,500 people in Glasgow from the Granite City today. You can now start talking amongst yourselves again.
Good to see you're in a good mood on Cup Final Day. Some things never change. Good luck to Mark and Andrew in there for the rest of the afternoon. Kenny, you've obviously seen different eras and regimes at Rangers come and go. You've seen the good times and the bad times and all that sort of stuff. As Hugh's talking about, how important is that kind of first piece of silverware? What is it that does for you? What's the significance of it?
Listen, I think for Philippe Clement, I mean Hugh's bang on. What he's done is he has lifted everything. And in his early part, we talked about this 2 months ago when he first came in, that this week in December could be such a pivotal week for Rangers in terms of Europa League qualification. Well, they've done that and they've passed that test with flying colours, top of the group, into the last 16. Missing out on that that last 32 round is massive for Rangers. And it was always, can he get past Hearts in the semi-final? Can he go and lift the first piece of silver? We're here now. I think every single box that Philippe Clement had to tick in terms of getting more out of the group. By the way, a group that were really, really toiling, while still winning, box ticked, get to the final, get opportunity to lift the first set of silverware and get through in Europa League. This is the last one of that kind of real test. And he's done it whilst, again, you're still struggling to find a bit of form. You know, I still think they're not at the top of the game. I think there's more to come. But what an opportunity today to kind of crown that opening 2 months with lifting the first piece of silverware. Massive for a manager coming into this club.
Yeah, and I suppose Gordon Dalziel will try and make her analysis a bit better than Rangers might win this and they might lose it, because that's kind of stating the obvious. But you know, with that brings its own pressure. How important is this? Because everyone, Rangers go in as favourites, so you're looking at it from the success angle and what that can mean and what platform. Understandably then it goes the other way, and all the good work that Philippe Clement's done so far is potentially undone or almost undone.
Yeah, that's the thing. They come here in a good place, Gordon. They come here full of confidence, and I think every Rangers supporter will be the same, and rightly so, because Hugh described it there. Since the guys walked into the building, he's been excellent. He's got a tune out of players that come in for a lot of criticism at the start of the season under Michael Beale, weren't performing, so all of a sudden he's turned that round. The result midweek was absolutely fantastic, not just the result, the performance as well. So they'll come here with a lot of confidence, but we've all been there in cup finals. you've got to turn up and you've got to produce, and you sometimes need a little bit of luck to go with it.
Kenny, we do the eyewitness stuff, and you don't want to labour the point, but those are horrendous footballing conditions out there. The wind is swirling round this place. The rain is battering down. Yes, the pitch looks good, but what does that do to a football match? It's easy for us to just sort of throw it out there, but does it have an impact?
Listen, I think even just when you go out there, it's a football match. Once you're running about, you'll kind of not really feel the conditions. But I think Gordon was right at the start. For strikers, for goalkeepers, it can be treacherous with the bounce of the ball. For strikers, it's a real opportunity. If you're right on your game and your mind sharp, there can be mistakes there. Again, even for the sake of maybe mistimed tackles or little these types of things, you really need to be switched on in these conditions, particularly defenders when you've got these types of players on Rangers side. McCausland running, you see on the other side, you've got Miofskis and Soklas. The defenders really need to be full concentration in these conditions.
How much heart, Mark Wilson, can this current Aberdeen team take from the fact that they're not burdened by any heavy defeats or any defeats at all, in fact, against Rangers this season?
Yeah, well, it puts you in a good place, that you've seen your competitors today and you've faced them up pretty well this season. But Barry obviously would want his league form to be better, but he's set up pretty well at Ibrox. Now, the argument is it was a totally different Rangers side, playing under different circumstances, with a different mood about them at that time, but still, Aberdeen went there and won. And then at Pittodrie a couple of weeks ago, you wondered if there'd be a reaction from Rangers much more positive than we'd seen against Aberdeen that season. But Aberdeen, held their own. So Barry will take confidence from that. I think the players in individual battles will take confidence from that, rather than if they'd been to Ibrox and been sorely beaten, and the same at Pittodrie, then you always go into that game today with a feeling a bit of dread and hoping that you can get a lucky break to win the cup final. I don't think that's the case for Aberdeen today. I think they've got quality players who understand they can cause this Rangers team problem, but of course, like anything, they have to be on top of their game to get anything today.
How important is bravery and belief for the so-called underdog in these circumstances, Gordon? It just kind of reminds me, I was here for the semi-final against Hearts, and you're kind of looking at that as being a similar challenge, if you like, and looking at some of the good players Hearts have and wondering if they can cause that upset and give Rangers a bloody nose, and it just never really looked on. How much do you have to fully believe that it can be done?
Look, you've got to come out and you've got to have your game plan, you've got to have your tactics. You're up against a very good Rangers team, but I'd be very disappointed in Aberdeen if they came here and were negative and tried to hit in the counter-attack. They'll get good players, Mark's right, they'll get good quality players there, they'll get experienced players. You should be able to come out here, it's a one-off cup final, they've got every opportunity. Away from home, they've had some of their best results and performances. They must take a lot of confidence from that. I'm not saying push everybody forward, but I think Aberdeen's best way of lifting that League Cup this afternoon is by being really positive, and I'm sure that the 17,500 fans that are down here from the Granite City will be hoping the same.
Yeah, that's the thing, Kenny. I think once you get to Cup Final Day, you can hopefully park all those long, tedious debates we have about ticket allocations. We know there wasn't the 50-50 split in the end, as you may have heard on 15 versions of Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard. But there is still going to be a sizable number here. It should have that big Cup Final feel to it. You can see the fans, despite the conditions, starting to make their way in right now.
Yeah, you can, and this is what the cup final's all about. You can see, when even just walking in there, the Aberdeen fans are right up for it because they know their team's had good success against Rangers over the last couple of games. So it's a big opportunity for them. It's like, I'm just listening to Gordon about being positive. Listen, they need to be positive in the right moments of the game. Because Rangers will have the lion's share. Barry Robson's team will be set up the exact same way that it's been set up, irrespective of whether it's Michael Beale or Philippe Clement or whoever else. He's going to have his team set up the right way to give them the best possible chance to get a result. Because yes, it's a cup final, and you can say they're the underdogs, but there's a cup there at the end of it. The performance needs to be right, the game plan needs to be right, to give you the best possible chance to be walking up those stairs at the end lifting the trophy. So there's not going to be any surprise with Barrows, but what they've got, and Gordon's talked about it, they've got a front two that can trouble anybody if they're given the right service and the right support.
40 minutes away from kick-off in the first cup final, major cup final of the season here in Scotland. We're going to hear from the managers next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Ding dong, maverick on high, magic Mike's bells are ringing, ding dong, Shazam in the sky, and Spider-Man is swinging.
Upgrade to Sky Cinema for more of the latest blockbusters like Top Gun Maverick, Magic Mike The Last Dance, Shazam Fury of the Gods, Fast 10 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and 2 free view tickets a month. Sky Cinema.
Movies make Christmas.
Sky TV contract required. View tickets valid Sunday to Thursday. Limits and restrictions apply. See sky.com for terms.
Action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
35 minutes till the League Cup final kicks off at Hampden. I'm Gordon Duncan. Joining me here at the National Stadium, Gordon Dalziel and Kenny Miller. You've got Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins back in the warmth of the Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard studio, keeping an eye on things. Let's hear from the managers then, starting with the Rangers boss. He's not been here long, Philippe Clement, and although we've given it the big build-up in managerial speak, he says this week is maybe not quite as season-defining as some people are making out.
Saying that this week will define the season of Rangers, it's totally not true. There are for sure 3 competitions after this week that we still will complete.
Hugh Keevins, I sometimes feel like managers just need to let us have our fun. I know what he means, but because of course Rangers can technically still win 3 trophies, but if this was to go wrong and next week was to go wrong at Celtic Park, I think we'd be hard pushed to tell the Rangers fans to phone in, oh don't worry, this won't define your season.
Well, Gordon, imagine a Rangers win first of all. It's the first trophy of the season. It's his first trophy as Rangers manager after 14 games. He is, if he wins his games in hand, on top of the league, and he has yet to go to Celtic Park. It would be monumental for Philippe Clement. The other side of that coin is that were he to lose to Aberdeen, as I say, joint second bottom of the Premiership table, it would be regarded almost as a form of industrial misconduct. How can you lose to a team like that? That would be the approach of the Rangers supporters. So there's a lot of pressure on Philippe Clement today. But when Rangers lost to Aberdeen at Ibrox, thereby dismissing Michael Beale and appointing Philippe Clement, Rangers were nothing other than vulnerable at that time. The signings that Michael Beale had made were being roundly criticised. He, Clement, has taken the same players and turned them in a very short space of time into a side capable of going to Seville and beating Real Betis in the best result of the season. Now that's what he is all about. He could go on and win everything in Scotland this season. I believe his influence over Rangers is that important. He came in succession to a man, Michael Beale, who was proving his unsuitability for the job at Ibrox. Clement, with his backstory of title wins in Belgium, came in as an experienced manager, a safe pair of hands, and he says he has no magic wand, but after 13 games, and where Rangers are now, Rangers supporters might contest that statement, Gordon.
This is not meant to be a criticism, Kenny. I think there is a compliment in there. How encouraging might it be for the Rangers fans that whilst Hugh's right and the results have been decent, they can get the job done without performing particularly well. I'm not sure how many of those 14 games you would say, oh, Rangers were stunning, they were irresistible. Of course there have been good performances in there, but it feels like first and foremost what he's taught them to do, if that's the right word, is win.
That's bang on, and you know I said it, like there was his immediate job when he came in was to try and get more out of these signings. By the way, there is absolutely no doubt come January he's going to be looking to dip into the transfer market and get a couple of players in at least, and potentially even a few out as well. But what he had to do was get more out of this current group whilst finding a consistency of results, and he's done it. He's achieved the Europa League, like we've said. He's got a chance to lift the first silverware today, so he deserves a lot of credit. You know what I would say is as well, I think, and I did say when Rangers made the decision to remove Michael Beale, the players have to take a lot of responsibility, because you can still choose when you cross that white line to go and run and to tackle and to try harder and give more than what they were actually given. And I still believe there is more to give, and there's no way Philippe Clement, after listening to him in this opening couple of months, is going to be settling for anything. He's going to be striving for more. He's going to be looking for even more improvements and to move this team on, because what they do now is they find themselves in a wonderful position on 4 fronts. So he'll be looking to continue this, get this out of the way today, and I'm sure, again, there's a couple of league games before Celtic back, they'll be looking just to win every single game. That's the message that he gives out.
Is that the bit that he deserves credit for, Gordon? Because I'm not sure, even if I was to go and find the most optimistic Rangers fan in here, I still don't think many would say, oh, what a squad we've got, what a team of players. But he's perhaps getting the maximum out of them, or raising them to a level that people maybe didn't think was possible.
I think that's where he takes the biggest pat in the back, Gordon. And he's come in, and you look at some of these players, and a lot of Rangers fans and pundits like us had written them off because they hadn't hit the ground running. They weren't playing to the standards that the Rangers required. He's come in, he's organised, he's got a tune out of a lot of them. He's tweaked 1 or 2 things. He's maybe changed that training routine. He's looked at different players in different positions now, and I think he's got them all believing. Now, let's go back to the pressure on him. Of course, that he's brought in here. When you come to a club like Rangers or Celtic as a manager, you're brought in to win trophies. And he's got a great opportunity this afternoon to go and win the first one very quickly.
However, Barry Robson will have other ideas. It might be Philippe Clement's first trophy as Rangers manager if he can do it, but for Barry Robson it would be a first trophy as a manager at all. Relatively new to the managerial game, of course, and he says it's more about the players and the fans, though. They know they're underdogs, but wants to try and put on a real performance.
It's not about rubber stamping about me. I just want to see the players and the fans and everybody at the club being happy and winning a cup. And we know it's going to be difficult with proper Rangers teams. We know we're the underdogs. Let's just see if we can put a real performance on.
There is an inevitability, Mark Wilson, that here in Glasgow in the West we look at it through the Rangers lens, and we spoke about the importance and all that stuff for Philippe Clement. What about Barry Robson this early on in his managerial career? Some managers go the full distance without ever winning a trophy. He's got the chance to do it very early on against Rangers in Glasgow. That is an unbelievable opportunity for him, surely.
Oh, without doubt, and he's got the opportunity to make himself an Aberdeen legend for many years to come with just a win today, because trophies are that sparse in that neck of the woods. And we're watching a man here on television, Derek McInnes, who had very successful Aberdeen teams over the years but only took away one piece of silverware in his time. So Barry understands what winning this League Cup would do for him professionally, and it may just kickstart their season in the Premiership as well, because that has been pretty poor. They found it difficult to balance their Premiership schedule alongside their European schedule, alongside the progression in this cup competition. However, if they walk away today with a trophy, then it'll all be worthwhile, and who knows what that can do from a positive sense of view for your season.
Yeah, Hugh Keevins, any young manager coming into the game, it feels like, you know, it's harder and harder. The guys all around me know that, but for you and I who kind of watch these things, you know, there's not much time afforded, there's not much patience afforded. So for Barry Robson, what an opportunity to go and get a trophy early on.
Well, you know, it's an unforgiving business, Scottish football. If he wins the trophy, yes, you're absolutely correct. He puts so much goodwill into the bank, he can live off it for quite some time. If, on the other hand, you don't win the trophy, then the crowd immediately turn and look at the position in the league table, and they then say, you better get us up to the top 6 quickly, or we want a change of manager. That's the way Scottish football works. Look at the number of managers we have lost this season already. 5 out of a 12-team league have gone. It's not even Christmas. So it's a big day for both managers for different reasons, but Barry Robson knows it's goodwill on the bank, or else they might want to cancel your account.
You know him, Kenny Miller, of course. You'll have crossed paths many times over your career. What does today mean for him?
Listen, when you listen to Barry Robson, he's always putting on his players, and it's about the club and it's about the fans, and that is right, and that's a manager's job to do that. You prepare your team, you get yourself ready. Again, it's something he's done pretty well when he's been facing Rangers over his spell as the manager. But make no mistake about it, he'll feel as proud as anybody if he can produce a winning team today and be lifting this cup. And you know what, when he goes up himself to pick it, there'll be a real sense of pride there. So it's a manager's job to always kind of take yourself out there, and he does it pretty well over the time that he's been the manager. But he's now the one that's put the team together. He's the one that's going to decide the game plan alongside his staff. And again, he will deserve a huge amount of credit if his team can go and get the job done.
I don't know if I've told you this, Kenny, but I've stood in those shoes leading a team to a League Cup final.
Never mentioned it.
I don't know if you or Mark have ever had
it's
that.
It's the shoes you're wearing this afternoon I'm a bit more worried about, but we'll get to them later on.
I'm getting back to the Barry Robson. Look, as much as come out there and talk about the fans and the team, you want that for yourself as well. You've worked so hard for it. It's a great opportunity. He will be bursting at the seams in that dressing room, trying to get as much out of these players as they possibly can.
And for his career, he's a winner now. He becomes a winner off the back of this.
Unfortunately, Rangers were too good on the day for me.
How did that end up for you, Daz? What was the score again?
It was, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 maybe, I don't know.
5, 6.
The players just
7.
didn't live up to my expectation.
Yeah, it's the players' fault. It's the players' fault.
Listen, Mark Wilson, I know that on Cup Final Day we tend to make things a bit more serious, but I'll share a quick anecdote with you that I know you will appreciate. So you may remember a couple of weeks ago on the show, we exposed Gordon Dalziel for wearing very inappropriate footwear for a man in his 60s. Remember, he came in with the Nike trainers on, and they had the kind of lime green air bubbles in the back, and we're thinking surely not for a man of his vintage. Hugh Keevins will tell you the media used to be expected to dress up on Cup Final Day.
Correct.
Well, he's turned up at the National Stadium with those Nike trainers on. Right now, but it gets worse because we're walking down Aitkenhead Road in the pouring rain trying to get to the stadium, and I've clocked him and I can't take my eyes off him, and I'm thinking, look at this guy walking to Hampden in those Nike shoes fit for an 11-year-old, and I'm staring at them, and I'm still staring at them watching this in real time. I see that his lace is undone, and I'm still staring at them, and then he rolls his ankle. Like, whilst I'm looking at his foot, I see it in real time. He rolls his ankle, nearly goes onto the road, has to put his umbrella down, stop at the bus stop, tie his lace.
Oh, certainly nobody wants to be in your shoes today, I'll tell you that. They're disgusting, those things. You should be ashamed of yourself.
This is a man with a free bus pass in his pocket.
I forgot about that, Hugh.
Anyway, back to the more serious stuff whilst we move away from Gordon Dalziel's footwear. You look at some of the kind of key battles, if you like, Kenny, and the good thing is we have mentioned it a few times. We've got good samples here. We've got Pittodrie quite recently. What are the battles that can define this one this afternoon for you?
I think the battle between Aberdeen's front men and Connor Goldson and Leon Balogun is going to be key to this, and it's how they can get the ball. I've said it all along, to get success against Rangers, watching them a lot, you need to be asking the defensive lot back a lot of questions, and what Aberdeen have got is got guys at the top end of the pitch that if they're given that right service and support, they can really trouble that too. Again, you always kind of look to the engine room, you always look to the midfield as well, and I think don't know if it was Mark that was saying it's potentially the strongest area of Aberdeen's team in the middle of the pitch with Clarkson, Shinnie and McGrath. You've also now got Lundstrom, who's at the top of his game in a Rangers jersey at this moment in time, but a really inexperienced player in Dujon Sterling in there. So it'll also be a key battle to maybe set the tone and try and get footholds in the game. But I really think at the top end, Aberdeen, if they want to be successful today, then they need to get Sokler and they need to get Miovski asking questions of Olsen.
It's hard to argue with that, Kenny, but you look at, as you say, the middle of the pad, you look at the top two against Rangers' defence. Me personally, I think down the flanks this afternoon it's got to be key. You know, you look at Rangers, if they can get Tavernier, Barisic, McLaughlin, and Sima into these positions in behind Aberdeen, I think they will cause them all sorts of problems.
It's also that though that's been the best and the worst of Rangers in recent seasons, hasn't it? Even under a couple of managers, when that's going well and it works, the Rangers fans love it. And when it doesn't, we get bombarded with phone calls saying, do we just keep crossing the ball? How many times do we cross the ball? So what's the key to making that worked properly.
I think McCausland today is the kind of guy that he's a ball carrier. He can take it inside, he can take it down the flanks. If he comes inside, he gives that opportunity for Tavernier. Now, if Tavernier gets into his positions, and as much as Barisic comes under a bit of criticism from some sections of Rangers support, the one thing he's got is a terrific delivery. And you look at Sima, for instance, we didn't realise how good in the air he was. You know, so if he can get decent balls in there, they'll cause problems.
Yeah, Kenny Miller, you know this all too well. The opportunities for players today is that you write your name in the history books, you make yourself a Hampden hero, you win silverware for your team, and if you're looking at goal threats for Rangers, Abdallah Sima's got to be the man, surely, based on this season's form.
Absolutely is. You know, he's fought what a game, and Philippe Clement deserves credit for this. I mean, he was also playing in the position before Philippe Clement came in, but he's got him into a way playing in a system in the position that suits him. He's getting the right type of service. He's not someone who wants too much ball to the feet. He wants the ball in behind where he can use his pace and his power, and Gordon's absolutely right. His size and he's very, very good at arriving in the box. He scored a lot of headers, even in the couple of goals he's got on Thursday night in Seville, and also last week against St Mirren. Actually just arriving in the box at the right time for a one-touch finish. So he's in wonderful form. So there's no doubt with 14 goals this season, he is their kind of main goal threat alongside Cyril Dessers. But I also feel that Todd Cantwell, with Gordon's right, if you're going wide and you're spreading Aberdeen across, there may be spaces to penetrate centrally for Todd Cantwell. He needs to make forward runs, he needs to be getting on the ball and affecting them. And by the way, he's another one that needs to find his best form this season, because the way he finished last season, a lot of Rangers fans thought he could have been a big player for Rangers this year.
See, that's the thing, Hugh, whether it's Abdallah Sima or someone else, these players just don't realise how close they are to becoming a future answer on the full-time teaser.
Well, that's for another day, but I think Sima is the number one threat for me. For Rangers, his goal again midweek in Seville, first class. He has the magic touch for Rangers, and I think he is a certain goal scorer today. He'd be my main reason for tipping Rangers to win.
We are nearly there at the National Stadium. The final build-up to kick-off's coming next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
15 minutes to go here at the National Stadium. It's tough here, I must say. Gordon Dale's been mobbed by adoring fans behind us. Kenny Miller, things that you never thought would possibly happen here.
It was an ex-player.
Was it? Oh, that's fine. I thought there had to be an explanation.
Just lie.
He's got his headset on now, though. The boos that you can hear are because Rangers have finished their warm-up. We're pretty much on the halfway line, but we're slightly edged over towards the Aberdeen fans, so they are greeting the Rangers players with boos as they finish that warm-up. Kenny Miller, you've been here many times for club and country. On cup final day at this point, what's going through your head down there if you're a Rangers player?
Well, listen, it's job done now. You know, it's getting in, getting your final bits of preparation. I wonder if probably the manager and the coach have got the final message for some of the players, just kind of going over maybe the final details, just like, again, the set plays, who you're marking, that type of thing. But as a player now, you're in the zone. You know, you're looking forward to that first whistle going, and you can get to the job that you're paid to do. You know, something that you've been looking forward to now for a number of weeks since you beat Hearts in the semi. An opportunity to go out there on that pitch, that wonderful pitch, and perform and lift a trophy.
And Gordon Dalziel, the managers as well, for them, we don't know, we're not fly on the wall, I suppose, but is this one last chance for the old Braveheart speech, or is it much more calculated now? Is it all done? Is it all now left to the players? Is it all about letting them know their jobs in advance?
Yeah, I think the managers will probably leave up to the players. We'll have a chat with one or two just going round the dressing room while they're getting their boots and their strip and everything prepared. But they've done their job, Gordon. They can only influence the game now if it's a tactical situation, the pitch, or it's a substitution. Just now they've got to trust the players when they go over a white line, follow the instructions, go and play at the best of your ability, and hopefully at the end of it you win a trophy.
What were the contrasting styles that you experienced, Kenny? Us fans and observers like to think that down beneath us there are some unbelievable words of wisdom and team talks flying around. Does it happen?
Well, you know what, again, it's everything different. As a player in that scenario, now you've been through, and I'm sure Mark and Gordon have been in it as well, there has been these kind of motivational videos and things that sometimes you get them on the way to the game, sometimes you get them back in the hotel as part of the build-up. personally, I wouldn't mind something like that right now. Right before I go out, just something that's maybe reminding you what's went before. Ex-teams and players and things that have lifted this trophy and what it actually means to all these fans that you see right now waving the flag. You know, I wouldn't mind that just before they go out. But, like you say, Gordon says, the work has been done, the prep's been done. You've got to now put the trust in those players, not only to go out and carry out the game plan, but go and be good players. Go and enjoy it, go and make good decisions, and go and potentially go and make yourself a hero for years to come, you know. And like you say, be one of these answers on the Super Scoreboard full-time teaser.
There is no higher accolades, trust me, in the modern game. I mean, Kenny, I think one of the great things about Scottish football is just how seriously we take this competition, how much it matters, because let's be honest, if you're one of the big two, it's part of a treble, and if you're not one of the big two, it's maybe your best chance at silverware. Some countries don't even have a League Cup. Others that do don't really care about it that much. We're seeing images on the screen, you spoke about it on Friday night, of all the great things that Walter Smith achieved. You said that your one abiding footballing moment, memory if you like, was what he did to help you guys get over the line in a final. So, you know, that's how important these League Cup finals can be and how long they live in the memory.
No, absolutely is, and you're right. When you represent one of the big two, it's important that you are competitive and challenging to win absolutely every trophy that is out there to be won. I mean, that man on that screen just now, Walter Smith, the part that he played in that 2010 final, when we were down to 9 men and we were absolutely scrambling about. It looked like we were going to lose the final, you know, but he kind of just pulled us and pushed us and prompted us to keep going to the very end. And you know, I've said it all along, football's decidal moments. You have to take your big moment, and that day it came along. I was fortunate enough to plant a header into the bottom corner, you know, and we won that day. And one of the memories that I've got, and I said it on Friday night, is no, the goal, it's actually when the camera pans to the great man. You know, and when I'm heading that and he's actually heading that in with me, and it goes in the back of the goal, and I can still see the fencing that was across there kind of rattling once you score that winning goal, you know. No better feeling. And for these players on both sides, they've got a chance to go and be that guy today. I mean, what a wonderful occasion.
Well, the pre-match talk is pretty much done. The card displays to our right about to be assembled by the Aberdeen fans. The Rangers fans have opted for a flag display behind the other goal. The ViaPlay signage is all there. I suspect there'll be some pyrotechnics to heat us up as well. And all that all means is that kick-off here at Hampden is coming next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
Just over 5 minutes to kick off here at Hampden as Rangers and Aberdeen get set to contest the League Cup final. Hugh Keevins has told us many times on the show that these are his ideal conditions for football. It is dark, it is gloomy, it is sinister, much like your outlook on life, Hugh Keevins. It is perfect for a cup final.
It is absolutely sensational. We've had a day without daylight. I like that. But I think it will lend to the occasion again, and I think we'll get a terrific match. I'm glad both are going into it off the back of fantastic European results. My instinct, and who knows how questionable that might be on the day, but my instinct is to go for Rangers by 3-1.
Kenny Miller and Gordon Dalziel, I'll get your predictions in a second, but how much of the importance of today is about the historical significance or the need for both of these teams to do better in this competition, Kenny? I know there are reasons for it, and it's been a long old period for Rangers, but for Rangers to not have won this competition since 2011 is incredible, and for Aberdeen the 2014 victory is their only piece of silverware this century. How much does that add to what both teams are aiming for today?
Listen, it's massive from a Rangers perspective, you know, like to go that 13 seasons without kind of lifting this trophy is it's actually just not acceptable, you know. And this is where this team, this manager, have got to find a way to put in sustained success into that Rangers trophy, and there's no getting away from it. Gordon says it demands, that's the demands of any Rangers manager, any Rangers squad. On an Aberdeen side, you know, this presents the opportunity that you were talking about. These are your best moments for actually winning any kind of silverware as a cup competition where maybe one of the old firm get knocked out and you've maybe got a clearer pathway to the final, you know. So for both teams it'll be monumental for them to be lifting this cup.
And for Aberdeen, Gordon?
Oh, for Aberdeen, Gordon, I played in the 80s when Aberdeen came here under Alex Ferguson and dominated this stadium against Rangers and Celtic. So it's so important for them, because they look at themselves as a massive club, and they are a big club, there's no doubt about that, but you're only judged on silverware, and they'll be looking to add to that today.
The teams are in the tunnel, a shake of hands between Barry Robson and Philippe Clement, who's gone for the club issue baseball cap to protect the head from the rain. We've all been there. Gabriel, tell us who's playing today.
Thanks, Gordon. Rangers make 3 changes from the brilliant 3-2 win against Real Betis on Thursday night. Dujon Sterling is the headline. He comes in to start in midfield. So the team is as follows: Jack Butland in goal, a defence of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, Leon Balogun and Borna Barisic. John Lundstrom is in the middle with Dujon Sterling. Ross McCausland will play on one wing with Anton Lasima on the other. Todd Cantwell plays behind Cyril Dessers up top. Barry Robson's side a fantastic 2-0 win against Eintracht Frankfurt just a few days ago. He makes 8 changes from Thursday with only 3 players keeping their place. They stick with their usual 5-3-2 formation. It'll be Keller Roos in goal, a defence of Nicky Devlin, Stefan Gartenmann, Slobodan Rubezic, Richard Jensen and Johnny Hayes. Graham Shinney and Leighton Clarkson will be in the middle of the park, with Jamie McGrath just in front of them. Esther Sockler partners Bijan Miovski up front, Gordon.
A quite spectacular pyrotechnic show in the Rangers' end. The debate about whether that is or is not acceptable can wait for another day. It is certainly catching the eye inside Hampden, flashing constantly to our left. The Aberdeen fans hold up their display with 1 or 2 shining red lights in there as well. Both sets of players are on the pitch. The pre-match handshakes are done. The pre-match tracksuit tops are coming off, and that means it is almost showtime. It's almost as if the rain has paid attention as well. It has stopped just in time for kick-off. The skies above Hampden are dark, the pitch is magnificent, and as you can hear, the roof is just about coming off this plate. Both these sets of players know how important today is. Both of these managers know how important today is for Aberdeen. They've got to many cup finals and semi-finals in recent seasons, but just that one trophy to show for it this century. Can Barry Robson add to that trophy cabinet this afternoon, and in doing so lift his first ever piece of silverware as a manager? And for Rangers, well, the burden perhaps is even greater. A club that is simply expected to win silverware and win it regularly. That has not been the case for far too many seasons as far as these Rangers fans are concerned, and there is a huge chance for them, in their eyes, to put that right this afternoon. The captains are in the middle, Graham Shinney and James Tavernier shaking hands, exchanging pendants. The man in the middle today is going to be Don Robertson. His afternoon will be determined in many ways by how many calls we receive about him on Clyde One Super Scoreboard in the coming days, but we are almost underway. Gordon Dalziel, how is this one going to finish?
I think it's going to be a terrific game. I think we're going to get plenty of goals. I think the pitch plays right into the hand of the strikers and midfielders, Gordon. I'm going for a narrow Rangers win, 2-1.
Kenny Miller.
Hugh stole my prediction. I gave it to Gordon literally 2 minutes before Hugh went, so I agree with him. I'm going 3-1 Rangers. Leighton
Clarkson is over the ball, and we are almost underway. It's the 2023 League Cup final. It's Rangers against Aberdeen.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Make your life that little bit easier. Use their free prescription delivery.
Well, what an atmosphere it sounds at Hampden ahead of this one. Aberdeen kick things off at the National Stadium. Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins here with me, Andrew Maclean, to take you through the first half on what should be a brilliant day of football. Hopefully, Mark Wilson, we got a prediction from Hugh Keevins before.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I think it'll be tight. I agree with Daz. I think there'll be goals. Well, I think all the guys said there'll be goals in it for either side. I think this one will be 1-1. I think it'll go the full way, but I think Rangers will pip it in extra time, much like the last final where I was there, Andrew, and they did the same to me, unbelievably.
Now there you have 4 people who have come up with 4. Well, Kenny and me are in agreement, 3-1 for Rangers, but the Dazzler saw it as 2-1, and Mark Wilson sees it as being even tighter than that. So you get all those shades of opinion. But if you played 69 times for Scotland and you've been a cup winner with Rangers and you agree with me I've got to back Kenny Miller all the way.
Well, Gordon was mentioning there, the debate over pyrotechnics can't wait for another day. It certainly clouded the view a wee bit at Hampden at the moment. There's a sort of smoky vibe to it all in the early stages.
Get, Andrew, is some of the extractor fans that you've got above your cooker, because every cup final we're now seeing at Hampden.
I do think it always looks worse on TV.
Yeah,
in fairness,
in pictures it looks particularly bad. It's starting to clear a bit now, and the game will settle pretty quickly. But look, the guys were talking about the weather conditions today and what that does for a game. I just think it speeds up. Remember being back at Hampden, Celtic v Inverness, a roasting hot day in May for in the start of June for the Scottish Cup final, and it was very slow, very pedestrian. The pitch was sticky. These conditions allow it to be a much quicker, sharper game that players like playing in.
Yeah, well, Rangers attacking first. It's across from James Tavernier, that's headed away by one of the three Aberdeen central defenders. Rangers will have a tough task getting through them, as Eintracht Frankfurt did at the weekend. But I think the one standout position in the Rangers side that we were mentioning earlier on, Dujon Sterling, it is a big game for him today. Tested out in that central midfield position in the second half of the game against Real Betis, showed up well in that one, but a very different game today, and a lot more at stake. There was a lot at stake on Thursday night as well.
One of those decisions where you have to trust in managerial judgment. Now, Philippe Clement has had 13 games. He's won 10 of them and drawn 3, and therefore his managerial judgment has so far been shown to be overwhelmingly correct. So I'm sure Dujon Sterling will justify his manager's decision. The two games that Aberdeen and Rangers have played this season are characterised by Aberdeen scoring first, and I think it's important for them today that Rangers, who are on the front foot early on, don't get an early goal, which I think could seriously unsettle Barry Robson's side.
I think John Lundstrom's lucky to get away without a yellow card there. He's come right through the back of McGrath. They're only 30 yards from Aberdeen's goal. However, no way he's going to get the ball there. He gives away the foul. I think he's lucky to get away without a yellow.
Is that one of those, whether it's right or wrong, it's so early into the game that Don Robertson has a big decision to make to kind of set the tone for the game and how he's going to referee it?
Yeah, he's probably looking at the conditions and historical games between both sides and know it's going to be a feisty encounter. Maybe just doesn't want to flash the cards, but like a yellow card's a yellow card. So Lundstrom a wee bit fortunate, and that's going to be such a crucial area of the pitch today. Lundstrom, Kenny touched on it, he's been playing well recently, and he's had to play well because everybody else round about him is dropping out at the side, and Todd Cantwell's certainly out of form. Lammers just ahead of him, out of form, so he's been the standout. But when he's got Sterling in there beside him, he's going to have to be the voice to drag him about, to keep him beside him, because Clarkson, Shinnie, McGrath, very good operators in there.
How tough is it to settle in these early stages of a cup final, because there'll be so much going through the players' minds? The managers will want the players to maybe get their foot on the ball, show a bit of composure, but is it tough to do that when the atmosphere is cranked up, when there is so much at stake in a game?
I think you're acutely aware that you just don't want to make a mistake in the opening stages of these games. You sometimes play a bit safe. You look for the easy pass just to ease your way into the game, particularly when conditions are like this. And you're right to say the atmosphere played in the final, well, the last one Rangers won, of course, Celtic Rangers. The atmosphere is great, and you just want to be on the right side of things as the game's building up. It's slightly different when you're playing against lesser opposition, of course, because you've got more freedom. But Aberdeen Rangers players, you can quite easily see in these 5 minutes, are just easing their way in. No real great pace to the game just now, but that'll be the case. Nobody will want to make a mistake.
Yeah, one of those moments evident there as Johnny Hayes went to try and play a long ball forward towards Bojan Miovski, but just got it completely wrong, got way too much on it and bounced through to Jack Butland.
And Johnny Hayes has arguably more experience than anyone on the park of these occasions with both Celtic and Aberdeen, so it's a misplaced pass. There's no point in trying to read too much into it. Misplaced passes happen. Mark Wilson had one or two.
More than one or two, I'll tell you that, especially in these occasions. But I think you can quite clearly see, the lineups against each other, fascinating, different styles. Aberdeen just conceding a free kick, good play from Sima there on the right hand side. So first opportunity might go to Rangers here, Andrew.
I think he was a bit theatrical with his fall, was he not, Sima?
perhaps, but I do think it's a foul. I think it does well.
Just stepping across Abdallah Sima there. It is down in the corner. You'd expect it would be James Tavernier with an in-swinger here to try and unsettle Aberdeen in their 6-yard box or there or thereabouts anyway.
Of course, you just try and put this right across the face. I think Aberdeen may defend this like a corner where they might have a man in that front area anyway. They've got a couple there. Actually, Kellerou's going for a 2-man wall. Miovski in there alongside Clarkson, so he obviously knows that Tavernier's got the ability to actually go for goal here. If he's not got that 2-man wall there, Tavernier can easily just bounce that in front of him, and off this slick surface it would cause problems. Tavernier actually going to win it.
This is sort of Scott McTominay against Spain type of region, isn't it? It's Borna Barisic with the ball in, headed away. There's a chance at the edge of the box for Dujon Sterling, deflected over the bar, and it will be a Rangers corner.
What a start that might have been for Dujon Sterling. But clear that Rangers mean business straight away.
I think he catches this well here. About 20 yards out, just bounced up nicely. Good connection with Aberdeen. Lots of bodies in there just to block it. So, swinging in Rangers' favour just now. Set piece followed by a corner kick. So Aberdeen just don't want to get camped in there too early on in the game. Yeah,
you see Goldson and Balogun there, the camera focusing on them as the ball comes in. It's actually flicked towards goal, and Aberdeen eventually deal with it after it bounced right in the middle of their 6-yard box.
Listen, the Rangers do well to keep that alive, but what was Dessers doing there? The Dessers stops. I thought Dessers was just going to spin and put that in. Oh, okay, there's just a slight deflection.
It's a brilliant touch, isn't it?
Yeah, a brilliant touch away. I didn't see that in real time. I just thought Dessers had to swivel from 3 yards out and put it into the net, but it's a great intervention from the Aberdeen defender.
But they are an Aberdeen defence under pressure straight away, and I think Philippe Clement, we were talking about Braveheart speeches and so on before the game started, but I think Clement doesn't do Mel Gibson. I think he's too astute and experienced a manager for that, and he just puts good ideas into the players' heads, and they're trying to execute them now.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how the game is panning out. Rangers try to swarm over Aberdeen. Now, Aberdeen, any time they get the ball in these opening 8 minutes, direct, trying to go direct to Miovski and Sockler up there, who are left 2 for 2. So no intention really of playing round about. You see Devlin get the ball again. He's looking to put that down the side there. Rangers try to build, Aberdeen try and direct.
It's funny, Dessers had a shocking touch there when a terrific pass played to him. He's a frustrating player, again midweek. How good was Dessers' goal? Fantastic. And there, he just lets the ball run away from him.
When was the last time you saw that, Hugh, in a cup final from a Rangers manager, the skip cap?
Oh,
ever?
No, never.
What about a Trilby? Did I know you used to wear Trilbies back?
Scott Simon in the 60s would have had a Trilby, yes.
Speaking of cup final
Jimmy
attire,
McGrory had a Trilby as well.
Speaking of cup final attire, we saw in the pre-match interviews the Aberdeen suits that had quite often the flowers at the boutonniere, it's called. That's the flower on the lapel of the suit jacket. It was quite a big flower though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's an old cup final tradition both in Scotland and in England, but the flowers that Aberdeen have on are preposterously large.
Yeah, too big. Big clown flower.
Did you ever get given any cup final attire?
Listen, we used to get a new suit all the time, so the Dundee United a couple of times, Celtic, then we got sunglasses a few times. I got sunglasses, and it was a day like this we turned up to the cup final.
Did anyone wear them?
No, needless to say, they're all still in the box, but just companies want to associate their brand.
They weren't like bright orange ones, were they? Ones that you would see someone cutting about with in Holland?
No, they're cool kind of Ray-Ban ones that didn't fit your face, so but the flowers, getting handed the flower going on the bus, because that's when you usually get handed it, when you're boarding the coach. The amount of boys, and I include myself in this, who couldn't put the flower on. So there'd been one unlucky member of the coaching staff who was good at it. Usually the goalkeeping coach, can you put my flower on? Next one, can you put the flower on? And all the way through the
tying
squad.
Up all your ties as well, like the first day of school.
Are you telling me that Stevie Woods used to dress you when you were waiting?
Well, they were all there. Stevie was great at it. Yeah, he's been to a few weddings in his time.
Maybe they do that thing where they would sort of tie the tie on its own and then leave it out there, so all
That's
you needed
it, you
to
just
do,
put it over your neck,
put it over
mate.
your neck, and you could tighten it yourself.
I'm good at ties, Andrew, but some of the other boys, dreadful. But the Aberdeen ones, not so good. What did Rangers have the big flower on? We didn't see any of their pre-match attire.
I saw Cyril Dessers doing a pre-match interview in his suit, but I didn't see any flower. No.
I think you save the flowers for Scottish Cup Day. I think there's always something better about that. No League Cup Day in a dark December where flowers can't even grow.
You just picture managers sort of doing that run down the stairs from where the dugout is with their suit and the flower on when their team scored.
Aye, well, that's what Barry will be hoping for today.
Well, Abdallah Sima showing his pace. He's into the Aberdeen box. It's a good block in the end. It will go out for a Rangers throw, but the first real show of pace from Abdallah Sima to try and get forward in this game so far.
He's done well on 2 occasions out wide, shown intent. But I mean, it's the positives for Aberdeen when they play 3 at the back with wing backs, that when Gartman gets skipped by, Devlin's the one there recovering, and it's a last ditch tackle. But you can see Sima on top of his game just now.
Interesting one for Rangers when the time comes. He's on loan from Brighton. Cost Brighton a hefty fee. They'll want a hefty fee if they're going to sell him, but he is a tremendous asset for Rangers.
There's always that awkward scenario as well, that the better a player does during his loan spell, the higher his price is then by the end of the loan spell.
Yeah. Well, that's why loan deals have got to be agreed in principle before he kicks a ball for your club. Was Cameron Carter Vickers?
Yeah, and Jota as well.
And Jota, a prime example of that. Get it in writing. If there is an option to buy, it's X amount, and they could come and score 100 goals, and the price wouldn't change. So it seems will be an interesting one.
It's just not the way Brighton do business, really, because their model is to bring in players really young, loan them out for a season or two, and then they're more often than not ready for first team action. So I think that's why there wasn't really a release clause based on that, just in case that.
Well, Seamer's doing his chances no harm of going back to Brighton and staying there. And look, as much as we, Celtic, Rangers, huge clubs here on the European front, if you get an opportunity to play for Brighton the way they are in the Premiership, then I think you're taking
last 16 of the Europa League as well, along with Rangers, both seeded. So my lot are looking forward to a Brighton Rangers quarter or semi-final in the Europa League.
Quite interesting to see here where Todd Cantwell is. Yeah, I just wondered if he would hold that middle, that number 10 role, but he's just trying to find any space, so drifting from left to right, almost like a free roll when Rangers are in possession. Rangers just have to find him, and get him on the ball, which you tried there and failed. Chance for Aberdeen to counter.
Yeah, Cantwell unable to play on Thursday night due to personal reasons, family reasons. He is back in today. Is that a big bonus for Rangers? Sam Lammers,
well, you're a better player than Lammers for a start.
Clement talked during the week after the game and commended Sam Lammers on his display, but I think plenty of Rangers fans would rather see Todd Cantwell in that number 10 role than Sam Lammers.
Yeah, it's quite simply he's a better player than Sam Lammers, so you want your best players out on the pitch. Aberdeen tried to counter-attack there, but they're finding it difficult.
James Tavernier with the cross into the box. That one is dealt with by Aberdeen, and Rangers get the throw-in on the near side.
Yeah, amazing there, Hugh, from Aberdeen on the counter-attack, because I think it was Jamie McGrath there, a good player who's usually aware of what's round about him. But if he thinks he's going to get that sort of time in a cup final here at Hampden, then he's sorely mistaken. Rangers just pick his pocket, go up the other end and attack Aberdeen themselves.
Rangers once again look the more threatening at the moment out of the two teams, but neither goalkeeper forced to make a save in the opening 15 minutes at Hampden.
Yeah, I would say you're spot on with that, Andrew. Just the areas that Rangers are taking up and getting possession round about the Aberdeen box, and you just wonder, that's an awful one from Cantwell, but you just wonder, if you give James Tavernier too much time to cross, like we've seen, he's put in 2 or 3 balls, or Seamer too much time to square you up as a defender, you're going to concede chances.
Is it too early to try the old behavioural psychologist trick that Aberdeen are finding it harder on the big occasion than Rangers are? Rangers look more confident.
You'd expect Rangers to have more of the ball, though I don't think either team have really done enough to be able to say that it's swinging in either direction fully?
They can't Lamort's analogy there. Rangers players are just better players than Aberdeen. They should be better in this occasion.
As James Tavernier gives the ball away once again, Aberdeen with a chance to try and break into the Rangers half, but it's easily cut out by Connor Goldson.
Well, I don't know if Rangers are pressing well or Aberdeen are just so poor in possession.
There's a Rangers player down as well. I think it's Cyril Dessers, who I think Rangers will eventually put the ball out of play so that he can be looked at. I think the last thing Rangers need though is another injury, and certainly one in those forward areas. Danilo is out now for a good few months.
It's a strong tackle.
Yeah, Slobodan Rubizic just coming through the back of Cyril Dessers. Did win the ball in the same challenge, but Dessers did feel that one.
Rubizic doesn't need too many invites to come through the back of you, and it was just borderline on the side. He does get the ball, but as a sore one, you certainly know you're in a game. If you're a big powerful centre forward, I think that plays into Rubizic's hands. I think he enjoys the battle. He's peripheral vision isn't the best when he sees people coming from either side of him.
Somebody's having a word in the referee's ear. I just wonder if he's about to look at something again.
It certainly wouldn't be between that incident between Slobodan Rubizic and Cyril Dessers. There wasn't a whole lot in that. I think play will continue.
Well, the Rangers players put the ball in. They're just I think Clarkson's going to
the ball
rightly give the ball back.
Right.
Good sportsmanship.
Just as long as there's not a sort of Malik Tillman Partick Thistle incident. Imagine that in a cup final. It was bad enough in the early rounds of a cup.
From time to time, the Rangers fans saying, remember Michael Beale allowed this, so they don't quickly forget that, do they?
Well, that was one of the things that made the Rangers fans think, we don't want him. I honestly believe that his downfall, that was a contributory factor.
It's one of those things that I think can swing either way. If a manager goes on to be a success, people then look at it and think, oh, what a fantastic thing this manager we like did at this point. But maybe a chance for Rangers here. Dujon Sterling at the edge of the box, crossed in low by Ross McCausland, dealt with by Aberdeen. But I think it's one of those things that, because football is so tribal at times, that if it's a figure that the fans like and continue to like, they'll say, well, what a fantastic decision. If then they are frustrated with the manager and don't like him, they can then use it as a stick to beat him with.
I always remember the first call Monday evening on Super Scoreboard, the day after the Malik Tillman incident, and it was a Rangers fan to say, I'm no big on this integrity stuff. and he spoke for probably every Rangers and Celtic supporter you've ever met.
I'm trying to work out Aberdeen's tactics here, because usually you can quite clearly see out of possession what you're trying to do, and I'm watching Miovski in soccer allowing Goldson just to walk past him with the ball in possession, then he passes it into midfield, and Clarkson and McGrath's nowhere near any midfielder, and then it gets up to Seaman. That seems like they start pressing a bit there, and then they win the ball back, probably through Rangers being careless in possession. But Aberdeen are even worse. They try to play Miovski straight away, and not once have they put it in behind, where probably they've worked on. Everything's cut out. So I think for this opening 20 minutes, although it's 0-0, Barry Robson's got to be disappointed with his side. We're seeing again Rangers, look, no press at all there. It's really poor from Sterling
passing the ball straight out the park. That maybe just highlights the lack of quality there has been in this game so far in the opening 19 and a half, 20
Adams.
minutes.
Big Derek Adams there, Hugh, slaughtering the game.
I think the belated
wouldn't
goal,
see Morecambe doing that, would you?
The belated goal that Dundee scored,
this.
Yeah, I think that just
sums
completely wrecked Derek's day, and he came out to the press when he should have taken time to calm down.
Yeah, I'm sure we will hear a lot more about that in the coming week or so. I'm not sure there was the chance to really talk about it on Super Scoreboard yesterday, just because it had happened just as we'd gone on air. What did you make of it, Hugh? Derek Adams' comments.
I thought it was an ill-judged thing to say, because he took the whole game in Scotland down with him. And I think because of his disappointment, as Aberdeen nearly had their first shot at goal there, and Butland has his first, if you can call it a save, I think Derek just let his disappointment get the better of him. It was best not said at all. And you rightly highlight the comment about Morecambe being 100 times better than the teams in the Scottish Premiership. Well, I mean, that is quite simply a stupid thing to say.
I mean, this is a guy who left Morecambe, actively chose to leave Morecambe to go to Ross County, and only a few weeks afterwards is saying it. You can see why people have been a bit critical about the way he's gone about things.
Without doubt. I mean, I'm all for managers and honesty and refreshing comments rather than the same old scripted answers that we always hear or always used to hearing. But that was just too far, you know, especially when you're just into a club. But Hugh's right, he's you know, branded full of kind of Scottish football is a poor standard. But if you're trying to attract players in January to help you out the position you're in and try to get people to maybe buy season tickets for the second half of the season, how do you attract then? Hugh's right, he should have taken time to walk away, take 5 minutes and then reassess his thoughts.
Also saying it on a week where Rangers have beaten Real Betis, Celtic have beaten Feyenoord, Aberdeen have beaten Eintracht Frankfurt. Not a bad showing during the week.
Derek as a player was extremely touchy. You know, I am old enough to remember post-match conversations when, you know, some players, if you suggest that they might not have been scintillating during the match, they just don't take it well, and he was one of those. But the comments yesterday afternoon were simply misguided, best left alone, and make him look ridiculous.
Well, back to today's action. Just over 22 minutes gone at Hampden in the ViaPlay Cup final between Rangers and Aberdeen. No real goalmouth action to tell you about. A foul in the Aberdeen half by Stefan Gartman there on Dalziel, but Rangers just taking the free kick short and looking to build from the back.
Well, Don Robertson obviously happy to keep his cards in his pocket there, because I said about Lundstrom earlier. Shinnie had another one, maybe just mistimed that one, but then Devlin on Seema kicked right round the side. It was a sore one, but Don Robertson just, you know, taking his time, chatting to the players, letting them go with it. You know, sensible.
I think it's going to take a goal for either side to focus minds here, as another foul is committed by Johnny Hayes. If we're being brutally honest, we've had a quarter of the game. Neither goalkeeper has been properly tested, if at all, and the final has yet to rise to the occasion.
The guys at the game were talking about the weather conditions not being great. I think Gordon Dalziel maybe mentioned the pitch looking good, but I don't think it's showing up well, is it? It looks as if it's cutting up quite a bit.
Yeah. How many times do we say that about this Hampden surface? But it does look patchy in places. The guys will be able to tell us more there. It's obviously going to be slippy underfoot with the amount of rain that's fell overnight. But look, the players, I'm getting to sound like Derek Adams here, the players need to serve up better.
Here we are. Ooh.
Yeah, well, Johnny Hayes just with the safe header back over his own head for Rangers corner as the deep cross came in from the left.
McCausland just behind Johnny Hayes. I'm just thinking that McCausland, if Rangers are to win this game today, he's got himself a winner's medal in record time. You know, he's had hardly any games for Rangers. If he were a cup winner,
13 appearances, I think, in the first team.
Yeah.
Not bad, that.
James Tavernier, both hands up as the signal as he takes this out-swinging corner once again, headed away by a red shirt.
When you look at Aberdeen, you really shouldn't lose a goal at a set piece, because they are robust, they're big, they're aggressive, they're well organised usually. So, you know, Rangers might have to come up with something a wee bit different to break that.
Not often that a team's biggest aerial threat is a winger. You would say that Dalziel probably is the player that would be most likely to score a header for Rangers as the ball comes in towards Ross McCausland, who's probably the least likely.
Yeah. By the way, I was surprised by Seema. I have been surprised by Seema. I thought he was a bit of a slow starter when he came to Rangers, and I thought, is he going to be one that just falls out the side?
Because he certainly at Ibrox against PSV had a really tough 44 minutes in the first half of that game, and looked as if he was maybe going to be taken off at half time, and then stuck one in the top corner and went on a bit of a run from there.
Goes to show you, it's just moments in games that go your way just spark your season. I think from then on he's been in the team more often than not, but certainly Rangers' biggest goal threat, playing from that wide area, but tries to join Dessers as much as he can, and a danger from cross balls. Not many wingers we can see that getting at the back post and is a real threat, but Rangers, just not been able to utilise that yet. I was talking about Tavernier having a few crosses early on, but that's even dried up. We're 25 minutes in, and both teams struggling to keep possession.
Any question of Rangers, given the state of the weather? It's only 3 days since they were playing Real Betis. You know,
I think they're too cold.
No,
it was hot. And
you know, given that you're Thursday night, you get Friday and Saturday off, and you're back into it now.
So we're Aberdeen, though.
Only Aberdeen?
I said
no.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen played on Thursday night as well.
Against
but Rangers, of course, had the travel and what have you, and Aberdeen rested plenty of players.
3 years in a plane. This man here, if he's made it in sparkling form, surely the Rangers players can. Chance
for Aberdeen. That one
Goldson
was blocked by Connor Goldson, and Aberdeen having to go all the way back to the halfway line to restart this attack.
So Hugh, I mean, taking that away, both teams, I know Barry probably changed more of his side in that occasion, but Frankfurt,
I think only three players have remained from the starting 11 there, which just goes to show how good a result it was on Thursday night.
But goes to show you what a good squad Aberdeen have got, and they should not be where they are in the league. So Hugh was right in terms of this cup final. If he wins it, fantastic, he's in the history books. But if he doesn't, fans will quickly say, right, the cup final's out the way, you've now got that to cling on to. What about this magnificent squad we've got and where we are in the league?
Well, Rangers haven't made the most of their corners, can Aberdeen? Johnny Hayes with the delivery. It's actually flicked into a dangerous area, but Rangers get the free kick at the front post. James Tavernier fouled.
I think that's the correct decision. I think Soccer just tries to get across Tavernier, who's that front man. He just, leans into him with his shoulder, enough to put Tavernier down. But there's a shirt pull we're seeing. Slowed down in Cantwell. The difference, I believe, in that is the Aberdeen player's not getting near the ball.
Yeah, whether the attacking player is likely to get to the ball or not. The ball wasn't going in the direction of the shirt pull, essentially.
Even at that, Cantwell,
why do players do it is the big question, isn't it? When VAR is there, that it is getting picked up on. Is it just this thing that's in the conscious of that they do subconsciously just because they're so used to doing it?
Reflex action.
It is hard to describe that, because why would Cantwell want to be pulling a shirt there when the Aberdeen player's practically walking away from him? He's not even sprinting away or in any danger of getting the ball, but he still pulls him. Silly.
Dujon Sterling in a crossing position. That one loops up and into the arms of Kel Roos, but he's out of play. It will be another Rangers corner. Johnny Hayes just take that off the face. We're just seeing the Cantwell one again there, but it definitely has a fistful of Gartenmann's shirt. But as you say, the difference really is whether Stefan Gartenmann is getting to the ball or not, and he wasn't anywhere near the delivery at that point. But that is what referees are sort of instructed to look at.
But just to take a fistful of his jersey at any point,
you're taking a big risk because you don't know where the ball is going to end up as well.
Yeah, but if nothing else happens in this first half, you can imagine everyone jumping in that, with the amount of shirt pulls that we've seen recently, some given.
Once again, Aberdeen have a chance to attack. Johnny Hayes steps over the ball and
he shouldn't have.
Makes the wrong decision.
What is he thinking there? It was a great opportunity for Aberdeen to break. Sterling was looking for a foul, but here come Rangers actually.
Yeah, every time Aberdeen have tried to cross the halfway line, their attacks have broken down. Are Rangers able to do anything? It's a lovely turn at the edge of the box by Abdallah Sima, and the shot is held by Kel Roos.
Well, that's the first heart-stopping moment of the game for me. And it's a terrific turn and shot by Sima, and a good confident save by Kel Roos in the Aberdeen goal.
That's what I was talking about there, Andrew, that Sima looks to get in touch with Dessers, and if you've seen that there when the ball was just being shaped into him, he's right beside Dessers. It's a fantastic touch right in the centre of the goal, and he just couldn't get enough purchase on it to trouble Roos. But a good move from Rangers, but all comes from Aberdeen. So poor in possession, where they get a 3-on-2. I don't know why Johnny Hayes steps over the ball, because it's never getting there out to Leighton Clarkson.
They just don't seem to be in sync, really, that Aberdeen forward line at the moment.
No, it's not happening for them. And Johnny Hayes, I say, vastly experienced player, but it's the decision making that's let them down.
The front line for Aberdeen has been an interesting one this season for me, because no doubt Mijovski should play, great player, and done very well here in this country, but Barry always seems to go for Sokler over Duke, and every time I saw Duke, he just looks like a real threat with pace. And I'm thinking on this big pitch where there's loads of space, if Duke would have been the better option.
Yeah, Graham Shinnie knew what he was doing there. Just barges into the back of Todd Cantwell as a high ball came towards them. It will be a free kick to Rangers on about the halfway line.
Catches him with an elbow there, just in the back of the head, Shinnie. And
Don Robertson's certainly doing his level best not to produce a card.
He is,
because that for me is a straightforward card.
Yeah, that's a sore one from Cantwell. You know, not really knowing what's behind him. Shinnie comes in quite aggressive into the back there.
Yeah, the relevant checks will be done on Todd Cantwell as we see it again. It's the left elbow. It sort of bounces off the top of Cantwell's back and then onto his sort of neck, bottom of the back of his head area.
Again, you know, it's a stupid thing to do on the part of Shinnie, because there are so many cameras on you. You're going to get caught, and he's not out the woods yet.
Yeah, he's trying to protest his innocence, I think, to Don Robertson. John Lundstrom just trying to move him away from the referee as Todd Cantwell has continued to give a bit of treatment.
Now, I mean, Shinnie is 100% guilty, and the cameras have caught him. So what he's protesting about, I would not pretend to know. And now Philippe Clement is having a word with the fourth official. He could see it from where he was. So again, you cannot hope to get away with this stuff because there are too many cameras on you.
Well, Todd Cantwell is up and moving again. He'll go off after getting treatment, not go off in terms of being substituted, just off to the side of the pitch before he's allowed back on. Rangers will have the free kick in the centre circle.
Yeah, I don't think there's any danger of it being anything other than a yellow card if it was produced. But he's lucky to get away without a yellow card in that one. Cantwell's up on his feet, he'll come back on, so no harm to him. But Lundstrom's still protesting to the referee.
Well, Lundstrom would be best to step away because he was the first one that should have been yellow carded, but he get away with it too. So maybe Don Robertson, maybe that's his style. He's a former professional footballer himself. So
is he really?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who'd he play for?
I knew you were going to say that and I can't remember.
Andrew.
But he is.
Andrew will know. Andrew knows everything.
Well,
I'll kill time, Andrew, until you can think who it is. Don Robertson, an ex-professional footballer.
I'm sure I read
age must
that.
he be about then? He must be, well, he's older than me. I'm thinking Queen's Park, Partick Thistle, St Mirren.
Almost as if a producer has just said that in your ear there.
What? No way. I got that by myself.
Yeah, Partick Thistle, Queen's Park and St Mirren. I'm not sure. 36.
Don Robertson's 36.
Don Robertson is 36, born in 1987.
Way. There's no way he's younger than me. That's amazing. He must have had a tough time at Thistle.
Can't believe you didn't fancy going into refereeing after your football career, Mark.
By the way, it pays well. I should have. I would like to see more ex-players in the game. More young players who get released.
Former Celtic and Rangers players could not be referees here.
I don't think so here. That'd be a difficult one.
Ooh. Cyril Desser's trying to take the ball under control at the edge of the Aberdeen box, unable to. The ball just being headed around between both Aberdeen and Rangers players. Ross McCausland with a really good cross into the box, did well just to keep it in play, but not only that, put it into a dangerous area.
I think it just trickled over the line. I thought the young man had done well to keep that in and put it into right in the middle of the 6-yard box. But it's untidy, it's scrappy, probably more so from Aberdeen, but Rangers haven't been sparkling either. And I think the guys alluded to that at the beginning of the show when Gordon was saying that although Rangers under Clement are getting results and some standout results in there's not been many performances that you've went, they were really on it there. This has been another 30 odd minutes of that, but still plenty of time to turn it round for both.
I'm not sure Don Robertson actually made any professional appearances. There's a quote from him saying, I started refereeing when I was 17, and before that I had a not very distinguished playing career at Partick Thistle, Queen's Park and St Mirren. So maybe banded about the youth systems as the ball gets crossed into the Rangers box. The Aberdeen box. Ross McCausland unable to get a clean header on it.
Well, I think the young man does well to get at the back post there, but not the service I think he expects today. I think when Philippe Clement puts him in the side, it's to get the ball to his feet and allow him to run at Jensen or Johnny Hayes on that left hand side. And I don't think we've ever seen him receiving the ball to feet, and that's been a problem for Rangers. Maybe give credit to Aberdeen, because maybe that's the game plan. Put everything through the middle channel and shut off Sima and shut off McCausland, because we've never really seen any. Well, Sima in the opening exchanges, jumped past Gartnerman, but apart from that, there's been nothing from the Rangers wideman.
Well, as a cup final, as a spectacle, it still has a way to go yet. We've had that Sima turn and shot saved by Kel Roos, but too little goalmouth action for a cup final.
Again, I'm looking at Aberdeen there, and just no cohesion between the side there. Sokler gets the ball, and I don't know any player on this planet that could play the pass that he thought he could there. He's trying to chip that over Barisic, Balogun, and let it stop for Devlin to go on it. And he should just be keeping possession. So really poor. Actually, he's done well, Devlin, to win a corner, but still poor in possession from Aberdeen.
Yeah, well, there have been quite a few corners for both sides so far, but I'm not sure really that the attacking side has even made the first contact on any of them or many of them. Leighton Clarkson to deliver this one for Barry Robson's side. Right footed, it is headed towards the Rangers goal, but it's out for a goal kick. Stefan Gartman was the one that put it goalwards.
All the production team and the TV companies just going over the rerun to see who's got a hold of whose shirt in that box. They must have made their job particularly hard now, because they have to scroll over this, all set pieces, see who's got a hold of who.
It's never our priority, football down south. Manchester United against Liverpool later on, though, and captaining Manchester United today at Anfield will
be Scott McTominay.
Scott McTominay,
really?
Yep.
What a turnaround that is, yeah.
It's another sort of just milestone in his resurgence at club level, isn't it?
He's the only shining light that Eric Ten Hag has. I mean, but for his goals, Ten Hag would be in even deeper trouble than the trouble he's in right now, and that is considerable, because I think he'll take a hiding today.
Every chance of it. Rangers with a set piece here, Tavernier.
Yeah, about 45 yards from Phil Clement, still in the ear of the fourth official about something. But James Tavernier will take the deep free kick.
Yeah. Aberdeen just taking the line off their 18-yard box. It's treated in now.
Corner.
Yeah, good header from Rubizic. It's a decent ball in from Tavernier. At least he puts it into an area that Aberdeen have to defend it. He doesn't hit the first man. Rubizic always going backwards, so the only purchase he's going to get in that is to flick it bang for a corner, and you keep the attack alive.
Well, what's that, about 38 and a half minutes gone at the National Stadium? Hasn't been a classic League Cup final as of yet, but both teams will be hoping that someone can step up and make themselves a hero.
Well, every
plenty
set
of
piece,
time for that.
Every set piece is a potential danger for either side here. Ball thrown in again.
Great ball.
Good ball in by Barisic, the second time of asking. It's James Tavernier who clips one in. Abdallah Sima up with a header. It's Ross McCausland who puts it in, but the free kick has already been given, and the whistle was blown before the ball hit the back of the net, so I don't think VAR, just making sure that the whistle had already gone, but VAR can't intervene on that occasion.
Well, we've not seen a replay yet, but it did look like the Aberdeen players had stopped before the ball touched McCausland's foot. Good finish for the young man at the back post, but we're just seeing it now. Is it for a head knock? Oh, it's a head knock on, is it Devlin?
Yeah, Nicky Devlin.
Back post. Is it an elbow?
I don't think it's a clash of heads. It's an elbow onto head.
Onto head, yeah. So is it Devlin it's down?
Yeah, Nicky Devlin it is. I think either way it is a head knock in a crowded area, so the game does need to be stopped at that point to make sure that he's okay. And I think it is going to be a yellow card. We'll just check it is for Abdallah Sima for that challenge. It may well have been someone else being booked for dissent.
Lundstrom for dissent, I think.
Both?
I think referees tend to do that if there is sort of mobbing of the referee and a lot of people round and there's a few pushes here and there, that the referee just kind of takes one player from each team and books them. But yeah, I mean, Abdallah Sima gets up, wins the header, but his arm goes into the head, the face of Nicky Devlin.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. He gets up well, but yeah, his left arm certainly catches Devlin there, and just as well, because when it fell to McCausland, great composure just to slot it in. at Kellerou's front post. McDevlin just getting back to his feet now, so looks like he'll be able to continue.
John Lundstrom and Esther Sockler, the two booked by referee Don Robertson after the debate that happened between some of the players afterwards. I mean, Ross McCausland, I think for a split second in his head, must have thought that he'd had himself a cup final goal.
Yeah, well,
he still has. I'd still be claiming that, Andrew. I'd be telling everybody, well, I did score. Technically I scored. Yeah, bit like myself, the Scottish Cup final 2011.
Right now Mark Wilson is edging out in front in the prediction stakes here, because he's gone 1-1 with extra time to follow. And
well, I don't know about that, Hugh. Haven't seen Aberdeen for 41 minutes any time they go up the pitch. I'm not too confident they're going to score now, unless they can string a few passes. Look,
So
they've had a few set pieces, but that's about it.
if you're Barry Robson, I mean, obviously you'd like Aberdeen to score, but would you settle for 0-0 half time, get them in? And
Well, of course you would, but a big complaint about the Aberdeen side this season from their own fans has been the style of football and how they go from back to front, and they tend just to miss out their good players in the middle of the pitch. And I think that's been the case today as well, that when you're playing against Cantwell and Sterling in there, who's untried Sterling, there's opportunities to play around about them, and they've went direct constantly and had no quality. But I think that's a theme, Hugh. All season the Aberdeen fans haven't been happy with it. So look, 0-0 will be a positive, I think, going in at half time, but they'll want a bit more creativity in the second half.
It's good work in midfield there by Dujon Sterling to win the ball back for Rangers and then win the foul. But as you say that, Jamie McGrath and Leighton Clarkson, two very good technical players in that midfield that maybe just aren't being given the tools to be able to create in there at the moment.
No, not at all. I don't think Aberdeen have even attempted to play through them, and any ball that has fallen to them, I don't think they've actually done very well with it. McGrath in the first 10 minutes dilly-dallying with it and get robbed of possession. So look, the players have to take responsibility as well as the manager for his tactics. But look, a couple of minutes to go, it's not looking likely any team will score. So Barry, being the underdog, will be happiest, I guess, to go in there 0-0. I think Philippe Clement want his side to have created a few more better opportunities than they have done, because it's again been a bit pedestrian. Centre backs a lot of the ball. Not really seen Cantwell getting involved in that number 10 role,
as he just takes a poor touch there and lets Aberdeen get back on the ball.
Well, no player has stood out so far, so it'd be wrong to focus on Cantwell. He's just one of several who have not yet come onto a game.
I think there we are, McGrath again. I think it's right though to focus on the players who have got the talent and the ability to light this game up, and they've certainly not done that, McGrath and Cantwell, in this opening 45 minutes. Here's McCausland, first time we've really seen him getting the ball at his feet. Will he be positive? No. Safe option back to Tavernier.
I was going to dust off the old cliche book there and say it's a good time to score, it's a bad time to concede, but it just doesn't really look like either team are capable of doing that at the moment. However,
I thought you'd done a me there.
I mean, James Tavernier looked as if he was maybe being played through into the box, but just couldn't get the ball under control. And a lot of players are struggling with their first touch. It's either just getting away from them a wee bit, not getting the ball under control. Don't know whether that's just the surface, the conditions. It's windy, the
occasion. Nerve-wracking for both sets. Aberdeen players can go into the history books. Rangers well aware of the pressure that lies on their shoulders.
James Tavernier with the corner. I'll get the second attempt to deliver it with his right foot this time. It's a bit deeper, headed towards goal by Leon Balogun, but it bounces easily out for an Aberdeen goal kick with just a few seconds left of the regulation 45.
Well, there'll be minutes added on because we've had the head knocks to deal with. Just depends on how many minutes are added on. But you'd have to be brutally honest and say that as there are 4 added on, as a cup final, it has yet to become a spectacle.
I take it the wind's playing a big part, because a couple of the set pieces, Barisic's one then looked caught in the wind and held up at the front post. Tavernier's delivery there, you could clearly see starts at the 6-yard line but then whips all the way out. So maybe that's a factor today in a wide open stadium. There's not much protection.
Yeah, you could see as the players were leaving the tunnel to come out onto the pitch, they had the trophy sat on its plinth, and you could see the ribbons on it were flying everywhere. It certainly looks as if it is a windy day, and in a stadium like that it will just be swirling around.
Yeah, it's Scotland in December. It's never going to resemble Madrid in December, so you just have to get on with the conditions, and at the moment the players are struggling to rise above the conditions.
Aberdeen with a free kick out on the right hand side, about 35 yards out. Leighton Clarkson with the delivery, and it is flicked on towards Jack Butland's goal. It was Stefan Gartman who got the touch, but Jack Butland knew that was going wide of the mark.
Well, again, that's the closest down up at that end of the park. Sima closest at the Aberdeen goal, but we're now a minute and a half into the 4 added on, and we are still goalless.
It's a great ball from Clarkson there, and Rangers playing a really high line, trying to defend that. Gives Aberdeen every opportunity to pile bodies in there, and Gartman getting the first contact on it. Looked a lot closer for the wide lens than it did the camera angle from behind the goal.
Todd Cantwell attempting to flick it over into the box. Cyril Dessers manages to hold on to it, and Todd Cantwell looking to get a cross away. Can he do? He does, and the header from Ross McCausland just peeling off the back of Richard Jensen, I think it was, but once again he's just stretching to try and get his head on it. Just too high for him.
He's not the guy you want in that position.
Yeah,
but it was always going away from him anyway.
He was always stretching backwards. I think Cantwell does well there, because the first opportunity it went there for him to cross it, but when he checked back in, puts it into a good area. You could argue if that's the other side, if that's Sima, who we've chatted about, perhaps could have done better. But McCausland, it was too high for him to turn goalwards.
Do you think either manager will be thinking of changes in the second half, going into the second half?
I wouldn't have thought so, because I think they just need a reaction, a positive reaction from the players on the pitch, and ask them to do better in possession. I don't think anybody's had a howler, so to speak, but they could obviously just contribute better to the game. I mean, finals are always edgy affairs, and it's taking that form this afternoon for these 48 minutes. I think we might see a freer, more open game in the second period.
Do you think there is any hangover from the midweek ventures of both teams, or is it more the conditions that are playing their part?
Well, Aberdeen were playing at home, and they had
made a lot of changes.
With a lot of changes against the Eintracht Frankfurt. There was more a possibility of Rangers, who were into it for the full 90 minutes against Real Betis and got their reward for that, and then had the journey back home to Glasgow. I just think that the occasion maybe has got to them, both clubs. The conditions have got to them. They're just trying to rise above it all now.
Well, that's no excuse culture, Hugh, at the Rangers end will be thinking. They won't care about Betis the other night.
Well, half time at the National Stadium. Gordon Duncan, Gordon Dalziel and Kenny Miller are there.
Half time is Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0, and very, very little between the sides in the first 45 minutes. If you were hoping that the eyewitness account was going to bring you more goal scoring chances than the ones you witnessed in the studio, you would be wrong. Very, very little quality on show in the weekend, where Derek Adams had a bit of a pop. I hope he's not watching, because he won't be happy with what he's seen in the first half. A lot of misplaced passes, a lot of mistakes, a lot of nervousness in possession. Is it the conditions? Is it a European hangover? Is it a lack of quality? One thing's for sure, there is very little between the teams. Certainly a frantic pace and an intensity early on, as you would expect. Aberdeen with loads of opportunities to break forward, 5 inside the first 19 minutes, but it was always that composure, that accuracy of pass, that cutting edge that stopped those breakaways coming to anything. Rangers very slack in possession as they looked to mount attacks. In terms of goal scoring chances, really, really scraping the barrel. Abdallah Sima turned and shot at the edge of the box. It was saved by Kelarus. That's the only save that either goalkeeper has had to make. As for Aberdeen, a free kick into the box. Stefan Gartman tried to get in the end of it. He couldn't really direct it goalwards. That's about as close as Aberdeen have come. And the main talking point, I suppose, would be the fact that Rangers had the ball in the back of the net. It was put there by Ross McCausland. Now, referee Don Robertson had blown the whistle before that, so no need for a VAR check. And I think on reflection, you guys will have seen it better than us here at the stadium. Probably fair to say that Abdallah Sima left a bit too much on Nicky Devlin. I'm not sure we'll have too many complaints about that one, although you never know in Scottish football. So at the break here it is, Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0. In a polite sense, would you sum it up for us, Kenny Miller?
I think you've done very well there, Gordon. I mean, I thought you initially, when you were saying there's very little between the teams, you were actually going to say very little quality, because there has been too many long balls from both teams. But again, if you're looking at Rangers, where they've got a lot of the ball, but Aberdeen are allowing them to have the ball. They're allowing Connor Goldson, Leon Ballock and even John Lundstrom at times to have the ball in the middle of the pitch. They're not going to want to go press, they're going to stay compact. They're making Rangers they're trying to frustrate Rangers. But Aberdeen, when they have the opportunity to get their foot on the ball and counter like they have done over the last 3 or 4 games against Rangers, the quality has been absolutely non-existent. Bad decision after bad decision. Over-hit passes, under-hit passes. Johnny Hayes leaving the ball when he should really be taking it on to potentially have a 2v1 to go at Connor Goldson. You know, it's like both teams, both sets of players know exactly what's at stake. They know, and they're fearing too much about maybe losing it rather than actually taking control of this game and going and winning it. So here's hoping for a way, way better second half.
Yeah, I would say simply that the weather in Glasgow is better than the standard of the football. I agree with you guys. I just listened to Hugh and Mark in the studio, and you know, we're looking at it from here, Gordon. Now, I'll cut the players some slack. The weather is poor here this afternoon, but it's simple passes, 5-yard passes, the touches, the control, you know, the decision making, for instance. That's nothing to do with the weather. That's just poor standard. Aberdeen, as much as Barry Robson will be saying, right, okay, we're against Rangers, favourites at Hampden, he'll be quite happy with the first half. But the standard of football they play for me is dreadful. You know, there's times when they can go and play out. I think Kenny touched on a great point. Johnny Hayes is in a brilliant position, and why he just runs over the ball is beyond me. There's no width to Aberdeen whatsoever. They never get down their flanks. They've got 2 guys we spoke about that can cause problems. The service is terrible, and it's the same up the other top of the pitch. I think Rangers, apart from the McCausland goal, which was rightly ruled offside, the referee, I think, has been very, very good today, first half, but we need a bit better in the second.
Things can only get better. That is the good news. Quality might not be there, but when it comes to drama and tension, that is only going to intensify, because at half-time in the first major cup final of the season, it is finally poised. It's Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time at Hampden, it's Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0 in the League Cup final. Gordon Dalziel and Kenny Miller are here at the National Stadium. Kenny Miller, by virtue of the fact that Aberdeen are underdogs and carry less expectation, if that's the right phrase, I'm sure Barry Robson will not be happy with the performance, but would he be the happier of the 2 managers?
Absolutely. I mean, you're bang on. He'll not be happy, and because I think his game plan, we talked about game plan before, his game plan will be set up to frustrate and be dogged and be defending, but when you've got your moments to go and counter with the quality they have, and through Clarkson and Miofsky and Sawclair up front, even Shinnie breaking forward because he's got the legs to go do it, they've just not made the most of anything. So he'll be happy with the fact that it's 0-0, they're in the game, but he'll be looking for those moments for Aberdeen to be way, way better.
Because I suppose, Gordon, from an Aberdeen perspective, you get that feeling sometimes, and that these Aberdeen fans know that. If you come here and you're up against a team that's bang at it, maybe there's only so much you can do, but these Aberdeen fans behind us, you can sense they know that Rangers are off this game as well. But can Aberdeen do more to try and make something happen?
Both teams can do more, Gordon. The standard's really, really poor, I've got to say. Aberdeen probably will look at this and now and think, well, Rangers for 45 minutes have offered absolutely nothing. We will never get a better chance to go and win the cup final. For me, they have to be, and I know that the game plan is to sit in there, frustrate Rangers, hitting the counter-attack. But if you just keep lumping the ball up to the front men and hoping that something's going to happen, Well, I'm sorry, I know it can happen now and again, but I don't think it will today. I don't think it will change the cup final. I'm looking at Johnny Hayes, for instance. He's playing as a left wing back. He's never been down the left hand side. He's never given width. They're playing in the middle of the park. They're missing out the middle of the park where they've got some creative players in there. Go and try and play. But they've not offered anything. But to be fair to Aberdeen, Rangers are the same. Rangers, there's no partner play for Rangers at all. McCausland's getting the ball on the right hand side. Now, I spoke highly about this young lad. He's a ball carrier, he can get at fullbacks, he can cause you problems. Everything's safe, everything's back to Tavernier. Dessers has never held one ball up. Cantwell's running all over the place. An odd glimpse of Seema down the left hand side. I'm sure Clement will be having a go at one or two of them.
Okay, what is Rangers' game plan here, Kenny? What's the style at the moment?
Well, there's zero style. That's what I mean. I think Rangers have played too many long balls. You talk about Aberdeen just pumping the ball long up to their front too. I think Rangers have played more long balls than I've seen all season, to be honest with you. It's like the conditions have dictated the fact that, right, okay, they could make mistakes. And I think there's more about a fear of losing this game than actually taking a real control of it.
So is there something in that then, right? Because we've been quite scathing, and I don't always like to do that. Is the pressure, is the occasion, is that playing a part here?
Listen, I'll be honest with you, I've played in a few cup finals and they've not been great spectacles either. You know, there's been 1-0, in fact I think I had 3 1-0 wins in cup finals, and it could be one of these moments, but it's just there's just not been the quality we expected for those two teams.
Well, one thing's for sure, it is a massive second 45 minutes, and it's coming up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers. Choose from over 6,000 vehicles, new or used, small or grand.
Be the host with the most with any 3 for £20 on selected wines at Morrison's. There's loads to choose from, like 19 Crimes Red to Canty Prosecco and more. More top-ups, anyone? Majority of stores in England and Wales exclude Scotland, subject to availability 75 centilitres. Online varies. Please drink responsibly. Ends 1st of Jan.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Volvo. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. Number 1 for football in Glasgow and the West. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Aberdeen are back out on the rain-soaked Hampden pitch. No sign of Rangers yet. The Dons are being made to wait by their opponents from Glasgow. It doesn't look like either side will make changes at the break. There are options there, and here come Rangers indeed. James Tavernier leads them out. Barisic, Goldson, Butland, John Lundstrom, they're all there. Dujon, Sterling, Todd Cantwell, Ross McCausland, Abdallah Seema, Cyril Dessers, and finally Leon Balogun. So no changes for Rangers either. Very quickly, Gordon Dalziel and Kenny Miller, what do we need in this second 45? What do both teams need?
Yeah, a bit more. I think that Clement will probably give it 15-20 minutes. I'm looking at his bench there. Now, I remember here in the semi-final against Hearts, he brought on Scott Wright, and what a difference he made. He was so positive. So it's interesting to see what they do.
Absolutely. For both teams, the bench will have a big part. I mean, I'm looking at Duke on the Aberdeen side. Could offer a real threat for Aberdeen.
Well, it's Dujon Sterling over the ball. Final checks. What a big 45 minutes we have ahead in this League Cup final. The second half is underway at Hampden. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
At Morrison's, you can get 5p off every litre of fuel when you spend £35 or more in-store or online until the 13th of December. So that's more filling up your trolley and filling up your car for less too. Coupon required. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. See in-store and online for details. Redeemed by Wednesday, 20th of December.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes. With M&D Green Pharmacy. Get your prescription delivered straight to your door free of charge.
Yes, no changes in personnel at Hampden. Hopefully there will be a change in the level of quality from that first half. There wasn't too much going on at the goal mouths at both ends. Can you see that changing in the second half, Hugh?
Well, you now have to strip the game of any excuses. Anything at all about Eintracht Frankfurt, Real Betis, travel, demands on players. You take all of that and put it in the bucket now. We need half a cup final to come alive. And it's going to take a goal to make it do so. So first goal, very interesting.
Yeah, 15 minutes each. The managers will have had to put their message across. Will it have been similar messages by both managers, do you think, Mark?
Pretty much so, because it's been a couple of similar performances. But I think Dalziel was it said that Philippe Clement would have been having a go at his Rangers side. I don't think he hangs about with his criticism or his changes in his 13 previous games. So I think he's gave it time, but I think he would have tried to influence his team by having a go at them, because it has been far from good enough. And for Aberdeen, look, Barry Robson, being the underdog, will be happy that it's still 0-0. But when he looks at his players and what they work on every day, he will know that they can give better than they're shown today. So look, the second half will be better than the first, because it's not hard. The first was absolutely dreadful. So I do expect it to get better, and the guys are right. The benches will play a big part. I wonder how long it'll take to see Duke come on. You know, he's a player that can light things up. I just wonder, you know, Daz is right about Scott Wright on the bench. He's someone that can liven Rangers up as well, so might be soon.
Yeah, a foul by Esther Sockler on Connor Goldson there. Esther Sockler already on a booking. Connor Goldson going down, holding his ankle. One of those where he clears the ball. Esther Sockler goes in late, cleans out Connor Goldson. Is he lucky there?
Fortunate.
Well, you can tell he's guilty because he goes away holding his own leg and pretending that he's injured. So that's an admission of guilt on the part of the Aberdeen player. It depends what Don Robertson makes of it all now.
We mentioned it earlier on with shirt pulls in the box. Those are the types of things you just don't give the referee a decision. If you're on a yellow card, why go steaming into a challenge like that? Yes, he's trying to block the ball, but he knows he's going to make contact with Connor Goldson.
Yeah, especially right at the beginning of the second half as well. And Goldson's in his own corner flag, so just allow him to clear it.
Duke warming up straight away. I wonder if that is the instruction of Barry Robson.
One more
striker
from
on a
one
yellow
more
card.
from Sockler, of course. Even if it's a dubious one and it's 55, Don Robertson is going to look at it unfavourably. But you just see Sockler when he goes in for it. I think the thing that saves Sockler is he studs up. No, they're not. Goldson actually kicks into him. So I think actually Don Robertson's, having seen it again, calls that right.
Well, Connor Goldson is up and moving again, making his point to Don Robertson that he wasn't happy with the challenge. But I think either way, Duke will continue to warm up, and he'll feel he should have a part to play in this game.
You've got to look at what Sockler's done when Aberdeen have the ball, and have we actually seen him touch it many times? So his only contribution has been to get booked for dissent and to give Don Robertson a decision to make there, which Don, in my opinion, rightly lets go. But one more, and he's treading a thin line. So if I was Barry, I'd be thinking about Duke.
Well, he's such a talent anyway. You'd like to see what he can do to break the monotony here at the moment. They're boring each other into extra time.
Boring each other into submission.
Yeah.
This will be better, Hugh. I've every confidence this will be better. This 45.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a classic display by any individual player. The one person you'd point to in the fact that they've not looked out of place in a position that they don't normally play is Dujon Sterling. He's handled the occasion fine as John Lundstrom takes aim, but his aim is off.
Well, it's a hard one there for Lundstrom to take. He's probably about 25 yards out. It's coming across him. He tries to whip it and reverse it into Keller Roos's far post, but as much as this game has went, that one's way off target. But Sterling's looked fine. He's not had much involvement in terms of in possession. He's not really done anything sparkling, but look, it's been an area of the pitch that's just been missed out from both sides.
I think the gestures being made there by Philippe Clement basically suggesting that he needs more energy. He needs to see more energy from his team. Intensity, pace, call it what you will, but what he's seeing at the moment doesn't please him.
the cap is off as well. Does he mean business?
Well, maybe it stopped raining. But here
there's a nice bit of play. Cantwell with a flick round the corner towards Abdallah Sima, and then once again a really heavy touch, and Aberdeen, Johnny Hayes able to get the first touch on it, cleared out for a throw in to Rangers.
Well, surprisingly heavy touch here from Sima because he was in a good position. I just wonder why Johnny Hayes was all the way over this side of the pitch. That's spot on. Johnny Hayes playing left wing back today, not seen him once really wide in an attacking threat, and this is just a pattern of the game. More players down than passes complete, I think, in this game.
Yeah, I think what told the story was the TV broadcasters had a sort of compilation package at half time just entitled Tasty Tackles, because there really wasn't a whole lot else going on at all.
No.
Yeah, you very rarely see that, Andrew. Tasty Tackles is one of your highlight packs, so it goes to show you what we're dealing with here. But now Jamie McGrath, he's been shown a yellow card, a late one on Barisic, I think that's right, but he's hurt himself into the bargain. The Rangers now have an opportunity to put this in.
Yeah, good area to deliver on the left side of the box. Will it be James Tavernier with the in-swinger, or potentially Borna Barisic with the out-swinger? Both standing over it.
I would always favour an in-swinger here, but Rangers usually go with Barisic's left foot from this side, Tavernier from the other, an out-swinger. But
does the in-swinger just give you that advantage that sometimes it can just bounce through and miss everyone, or if there's just a nick off of anyone, it's going in that direction?
An own goal just off a defender's head is Tavernier.
Tavernier to take it, bounces up and away at the edge of the box.
Very poor delivery.
Yeah, another poor delivery, not just by James Tavernier but in this game in general. But Rangers do have a chance here. Borna Barisic cuts it back into the middle of the box, but Aberdeen outnumbering Rangers by quite a few players in there.
Well, Barisic, I think he's got more time there. They work it well. Lundstrom just puts him inside the Aberdeen penalty area. I think he could just probably take a wee bit more time and put it across the face. He tries to pick someone out about the penalty spot where all the Aberdeen bodies are.
Yeah, I think it was a tough one for him to maybe pick a blue shirt out, because Aberdeen hadn't really cleared out of their own box. They had, what was that, 4 against it was 5 in the end against the 2 Rangers players.
I think that's a good point, Andrew. He'd seen it back again. He didn't have much to aim for if he did put it across the box, but yeah, Aberdeen certainly compact in that area, but Shinnie just getting caught out there, switching off, getting attracted to the ball, dropping Barisic, and it's the best opening we've seen without it being a clear-cut chance.
But it's just stop-start stuff, fouls, clumsy tackles, heavy touches. It might even need a change of personnel, a Scott Wright or a Duke, to come on and bring a fresh mind into this game.
I know people will talk about Scott Wright as well because of that relationship he's got with Hampden, those 2 goals that he's had in separate games against Hearts, but he has been out injured for quite a while, Scott Wright. He's not featured, so it will be a big ask for him to come off the bench and be the man to make the difference.
Yeah, it will be, but I don't think he could be any
Aberdeen
worse.
with a cross this time towards the front post, a huge opportunity. Esther Sockler got towards the ball. I'm just not sure he got a touch on it.
No, he didn't. But it's a sign of life in the game in general and from Aberdeen in particular.
Yeah, flashed across the face of Jack Butland's goal. No telling touch.
Real good ball though.
Yeah, all it needed was the slightest of touches, and it would have been almost impossible for Butland to make a stop because it was so close to him. But really the first opportunity we've seen from Aberdeen working it into a wide area, getting to the byline, fantastic ball across. And it is livened up a bit. You know, Rangers one end, getting Barisic into a dangerous position, Aberdeen at the other.
It was one of those that almost went in slow motion as it bounced across the face of Rangers' goal, but no takers.
I think the players on both sides have thought, do it another half hour in this weather. Let's get a goal here.
They're even bored.
I mean, you look at what other options both teams have on the bench. Sam Lammers, who's faced heavy criticism for Rangers this season. Rabi Matondo, who has had flashes. Maybe the big one, though, is Kemar Roof, who spoke after the game on a Thursday night. He has scored important goals for Rangers, big goals for Rangers. He struggles to put together a run of appearances at the moment, but Rangers will know that if they can get him on the park and get him an opportunity, he's got a very good chance of scoring.
Well, it's a Predators goal that he gets against Real Betis on Thursday, So that's a handy card to have up your sleeve. But we're 55 minutes in, and the players on the park at the moment surely have, one of them surely has a goal in them.
Yeah, Duke from an Aberdeen perspective on the bench. Also Dante Polvara, who's had a couple of goals this season from midfield positions, breaking through the lines.
No doubt, there's quality on each bench that can come on and change this game. Barisic, another poor cross just into Kelleroos' hands. Just seen that Aberdeen chance back again there. Devlin for once keeps his width in that 5, and he no other thought than to get it across the face. Couldn't do any better. I just don't know why Sokler doesn't attempt to get contact. He actually pulls himself out the way. Now I don't know if he thought he got a shout from behind him, but he has to get something on that to divert it goalwards,
because he makes the right run to the front post and he's towards the ball, but you would expect that a striker in that position would just do anything to try and get a touch towards goal on it, as Nicky Devlin puts in another cross to the back post. It is headed, but Rangers are able to clear through Ross McCausland.
Well, Rangers at the moment are playing second fiddle to Aberdeen, who are having their best spell in the match, and here they come again.
Yeah, John Lundstrom just guilty this time of taking too many touches and getting caught in possession. Yeah, a decent little spell this for Aberdeen. They've at least put a few crosses into the Rangers box and made them defend something. It was Johnny Hayes getting in at the back post above McCausland there, but poor header, team header.
Yeah, I mean, it was blocked by James Tavernier, but it looked as if it maybe would have bounced 2 or 3 times before it made it through to Jack Butland if it was going to.
I think an unlikely scorer at the back post with a header. Johnny Hayes. Not many people would have that in their betting slip today. A chance for Aberdeen here, a long way out, but poor
deep
delivery.
free kick. It doesn't even make it into the box. Rangers able to get it away. And Cyril Dessers is into the Aberdeen half, but just holds the ball up. He knows he doesn't have the pace to get away from the Aberdeen defence. Todd Cantwell nicks in and wins it deep into the Aberdeen half on the right side of the box, tries to go by his man. Aberdeen clear.
Well, Cantwell does well there to actually get in touch with Dessers and get up the pitch and force a mistake out of Devlin, but once again he tries maybe to be a wee bit too smart and clever and try and nutmeg Devlin, loses it. So it's all been a bit like that going forward for both sides.
It must be.
There's a chance here. It's through for Ross McCausland, who slides in. That's a good save by Kelleroos, and that is probably the biggest save of the game so far. Yeah, without doubt, much better from Rangers, and it's McCausland driving in. He just ups the tempo. Good little ball from Dessers. Nice little 1-2. By the way, Devlin does brilliantly to get really across their last ditch tackle to keep Aberdeen level in this cup final.
You get the feeling he's just cranking up now, Mark, cranking up to
Yeah.
that first goal.
Yeah, both sides showing a bit more than they were in the first half from the resulting corner. It's a Leon Balogun header that goes wide, but Ross McCausland starting the move, the flick round the corner from Cyril Dessers. A good first touch as well from McCausland to get it into his path, but Nicky Devlin with a really good block initially. The ball was still going towards goal, and Kelleroos has to get down low to his left to put it out for a corner.
But it's the first little injection of pace we've even seen from any wide man in this game, and it's taking the youngster 58 minutes to spark something, but it's brilliant play when he comes inside exactly where you want your front man to be, flicked around the corner, and you want your wide guy to fall on. It's a good first touch, like you says, Andrew, but Devlin does brilliant because he recognises the danger as a right wing back, tucking in there and getting that touch which allowed Roos to make the save. So good opportunity. I told you it'd be much better, Hugh, in this 45, and it has already been.
I hang on your every word.
Thank you.
Sokler, poor pass there. I just wonder if on the hour the big hook comes out for Esther Sokler and enter the Duke.
Well, Barry Robson in discussions there about what Aberdeen's next moves are going to be, but I think the half-time team talks from both sides have worked to an extent. There has been a higher tempo to the game so far.
Yeah. As I say, it's almost as if the players are thinking, no extra time. Let's get a move on here.
But you know what? It sometimes doesn't even take the managers, the players, the captains, the more experienced ones would have certainly had a word in both dressing rooms, saying we're much better than this, lads. You know, we know that we've got quality, and this is both dressing rooms that can hurt the opposition. So let's up the standard. Let's start stringing a few passes together and taking a few more risks in possession. And I think they have done in the opening 15 minutes. And we've seen a few chances that probably both sides could have done better in the penalty areas.
I think Rangers' poorest performance under Philippe Clement was Aris Limassol at Ibrox, but this is beginning to rival it. That there's an hour gone and it's as poor as Rangers have been since the Belgian got hold of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if week on week Rangers have been blowing teams away left, right and centre. There have been a few performances that have been tight, maybe haven't been classic victories, but
here we go
there's a chance. Cyril Desser's doing well to win the ball out on the left. Can he get the ball in? Cuts in again, Cyril Dessers, and that one is saved by Kel Roos, who looked as if it was a certain chance, big chance for Cyril Dessers.
The rerun of the Betis goal,
almost.
Yeah.
The chop inside was very similar.
What a save it is from Roos. I don't know what Rubicic is thinking, but he just gets out muscled in the wide area. Dessers does well to create the opportunity, and a good save.
Yeah, Sima with a bit of trickery there. Great the ball to the back post, and it's had to be put out for a corner. Rangers looking lively in the last minute or so.
Yeah, they certainly are. They've certainly upped the tempo. Started with McCausland, now it's Dessers, then it's Sima. But Rubicic getting it all wrong here.
Just brushed off way too easily, Rubicic.
Yeah, he does well there just to Selgartnam in the dummy. Roos does well to keep big, just comes off his chest.
Dessers saw the headlines.
Yeah, chopped the other way this time, Cyril Dessers, didn't he?
Yeah.
The ball comes in from James Tavernier once again. You wonder whether it's a wind affected delivery, just drifts its way away from Aberdeen's 6-yard box.
But at least we've got a cup final now.
Yeah, there's the cross from Todd Cantwell. It was behind Cyril Dessers, who I'm not quite sure what he would have been able to do from that position. Got a touch, but Kel Roos able to gather.
Cool play from Jensen there. Just at his 6-yard box, just heads it back to his goalkeeper. That's a good save from Roos. It comes off his shoulder, I think his left shoulder, but remains big, makes it hard for Dessers to pick his spot.
It'll be another promising sign for Rangers fans when it comes to Cyril Dessers, because they'll have seen him in those positions a lot throughout his short Rangers career so far, where he hasn't really been able to produce anything. No, he doesn't score, but the fact that he creates something for himself as well, like he did, as Rangers have a chance here. Todd Cantwell fouled at the edge of the box, and they're going to get a free kick in a dangerous position.
Well, it's Tavernier time, isn't it?
Yeah. A man that usually steps up. It's another yellow card, so Don Robertson reluctant in the first period, but he's dishing them out now.
Well, I mean, it's in a great position.
Yeah, Leighton Clarkson sliding in.
Yeah, it's the right decision, because Cantwell in a promising position, just ready to break into the box. Clarkson has to impede him there, but this is an opportunity. Now the set pieces have been poor from both sides, and include Tavernier in that.
It's slightly right of centre. I think Rangers got a free kick from almost this identical position midweek, and it was Borna Barisic who took it.
I'll be shocked.
If Barisic takes it,
Barisic takes it.
I think he hit the wall from memory, but you would expect that James Tavernier would pull rank here.
Well, big games need big players, and there's been none bigger than James Tavernier over the years for Rangers. When they need a goal, he's the man. The right back usually steps up. This is his best opportunity this afternoon. I mean, this would be difficult for any other player, but for him, he makes it look simple sometimes.
Yeah, what's that, about 25 yards out from the Aberdeen goal? There's plenty Aberdeen players in the wall. The old draft excluder there as well. James Tavernier steps up, curls one. Kel Roos having to make the save.
Yep.
Well, it is a good save because it's low. We were chatting about Joe Hart yesterday. The free kick, it went in low, down to his left. Well, Kel Roos gets a cross down to his left, pushes it wide.
This has been the best spell of pressure from either side throughout the game so far. You can see as well the Rangers fans are getting a bit more excited, and now you'd expect they'll be making a bit more noise, which could help as well.
I mean, the cup final couldn't get any worse. And in the second half, and that's a good save. We're seeing it back again. It's a good save, and it's Tavernier at his meticulous best there. But Kel Roos does well. The game, as Aberdeen make that change.
Well, a couple of changes. First of all, it is going to be Esther Sockler who comes off, and no surprise that Duke is the man that comes on. He will partner Bojan Mijovski up top. There's also going to be a second substitution as well. James McGarry just waiting to make his way onto the pitch, waiting to see who it is that is going to make way for them, and it is going to be Johnny Hayes that comes off.
Well, I think right changes if you look at the overall game, the time we've played. Johnny Hayes never really contributed anything. Maybe you could say he's kept McCausland quiet-ish for 65 minutes. Soccer hasn't really contributed in any way, so I don't think you're going to get any worse out the two that come on. But a real opportunity for Duke, who is a fan's favourite, to grab the headlines once again.
Yeah, McGarry as well hasn't played a lot of football of late. Did start that game against Eintracht Frankfurt midweek, but apart from that has suffered a bit of an injury this season, so a big game for him to come into as well.
Well, it's a big game for all of them. You're just looking for the man who's going to write the headline tomorrow morning. It could be McGarry, Duke. Philippe Clement has yet to show his hand. Aberdeen have a wild attempt at goal there. Even I could have done better than McGrath there.
Yeah, it came down on a right foot volley and he just booted it into the sky and out for a Rangers goal kick.
If that had went in at that end, it would have been better than Zidane's goal in the European Cup final, because I don't know what McGrath's thinking there. It's coming from such a distance that he's just off balance. But I think that's been the theme, particularly for the Aberdeen players: lack of composure and then lack of quality.
Whoa.
That's got to be a book.
Todd Cantwell fouled again at the edge of the Aberdeen box, and Rangers will get another free kick. This one right of centre again, but further over to the corner of the box, and that was McGarry's first involvement in the game, is to slide in and foul Todd Cantwell.
Yeah, so poorly timed there from McGarry. Cantwell just too quick for him, gets away from Shinnie. Good drive and run. So another opportunity. Wonder if this time it'll be Barisic who whips this in towards the back post.
Struggled to get into the game in the first half. Todd Cantwell trying to impose himself a bit more now.
But yeah, without doubt. And even if you're winning fouls in good positions like that, you're making a hefty contribution.
Discussions going on between Borna Barisic and James Tavernier as to how they deal with this one. As I say, it is further out on that right side, almost in line with the edge of the box. Borna Barisic goes for it, and Kel Roos, it looked as if it was maybe going to be a comfortable save, but he ended up diving and putting it out for a corner.
I thought from the look at it was going wide, and Keller Roos has saved that out.
I suppose you can never be too sure, can you? Sometimes.
Well, you should be. If you're a goalkeeper, you should know your angles. Usually they mark the middle of the pitch, don't they, to get their bearings. I thought that was going wide there, and he's tipped it round for a corner. But another chance for Rangers.
Yeah, Tavernier's corner is better this time. There's the flick on at the front post, but no takers. Rangers looking to get this back in. Connor Goldson with the cross this time, as Todd Cantwell picks up at the edge of the box. Still crowded in there.
He came to life, Cantwell, got to say.
Gets the cross in this time. A big chance. And it was Leon Balogun that was in there, left-footed, running onto it. Not the man you'd really want in that position, running onto it, but striking that one over the bar.
Oh, look at the space he's got. He's picked out. He's right in the penalty spot. Anyone else, I think, in that Rangers side you would have had. He just tries to guide it with his left foot, but gets it all wrong. What an opportunity.
But the instigator is now Cantwell. If Rangers have to get the goal, he's going to be heavily involved in it, you feel, because he's certainly come to life.
You'd think he would have the bit between his teeth as well, just given what's happened since Philippe Clement came in, hooked before half time. Has been, played in different positions as well.
Well, as I say, from my point of view, the journalistic point of view, you're always looking for the guy who's going to provide you with the big story of the cup final. And if it were Cantwell who scored the only goal of the cup, everyone would go back to the substitution against Darius Limassol and the Ferrari that followed that, the debate that was on Super Scoreboard every night thereafter. But Cantwell, for me, is looking the likeliest player to either create or take the goal.
Third change for Aberdeen. Dante Polvara comes on for Jamie McGrath. So that shot he had where he skied it almost into the Hampden stand is his final action of the game. Dante Polvara comes on.
Yeah, once again, I don't think Aberdeen will miss McGrath. I mean, a player of real quality, no doubt about that, but not today. He's been way off it today. In possession, out of possession, he's been ineffective as well, not really pressed much at all. So, Barry's obviously recognised that, and he's He's made the move on the 70-minute mark. Clement just still persevering.
Maybe he sees something. He knows that he doesn't need to go to the bench.
I mean, it has been a better performance on the whole from Rangers than it was in the first half. Maybe he's hoping they can do something, create a bit more as they have done in the last few minutes. Doesn't want to disrupt it as Polvara plays it to the edge of the box. The strike from Leighton Clarkson didn't have enough power on it, eventually blocked.
I think you can just see though, when Duke gets the ball, there is panic. He creates panic. He's a player that I wouldn't like to play against because he's so unpredictable. And once he gets in that penalty area, you don't want to dangle a leg. I think Barisic did well there, but that's the positivity he brings to Aberdeen.
Quite an unorthodox throw that from Jack Butland, wasn't it? He went for the throw-in technique there towards Ross McCausland, but just skidded off the surface and out of play.
But we've got 20 minutes of regulation time left, and who knows what happens thereafter. The match has now become engrossing. In the first half it was an irritation. In the second half it's become engrossing, and fair play to both sides. You wouldn't know for sure who was going to open the scoring.
Yeah, just based on the balance of play, Rangers looking the more likely at the moment, but Aberdeen trying to step up their game as well. They've made the changes.
Well, Aberdeen going through a wee couple of minutes here in possession, round about the Rangers box, but again it's the lack of quality, the lack of being able to find the spare man that's proved Aberdeen's Achilles heel. The players today have got possession of the ball and looked one way, and if that passing lane shut off, they forget that they can actually look somewhere else to pass it, and they panic and they give it back. So another attack's just come to an end, gives Rangers possession. Now Rangers starting to build.
Is Philippe Clement wholly off from making substitutions because he has the suspicion that we're going for an extra half hour here?
Well, it might be. It's a risky strategy.
You would think he would make the changes now to try and avoid the extra 30 minutes.
Yeah, the old inscrutable Belgian.
Yeah, or he thinks he's enough on the pitch.
Yeah,
to get in top Aberdeen, and they do look like the team more likely to break the deadlock.
I mean, you just look at the bigger context of it for Philippe Clement. Rangers have Lundstrom winning the ball back from Duke. There looks to have been a bit of a momentum shift over the past week or so, just with Rangers edging closer to Celtic in the league table, getting to the last 16 of the Europa League. Today would add to that massively if they were able to win this game, but the opposite effect would be also as big, you would think.
Yeah, I said at the very start of the programme, consider the last 4 days that Rangers have had. A tremendous win against Real Betis, the last 16 of the Europa League. Celtic yesterday, another horrendous day for them, which means that if Rangers win their 2 games in hand, they are top of the league, and they have yet to play Celtic. So it's been a massive few days, and if they win a cup,
James Tavernier lines one up from around 25 yards out, way over the bar.
They won't win a cup with a shot like that, but if they are to win a cup, then it becomes Scott Wright comes in, and the headline writers get twitchy over the laptops now.
Yeah, the Hampden specialist, Scott Wright.
But to add a cup at the end of the win over Betis, on top of the Celtic defeat yesterday, to add a cup, it's the best 4 days of Philippe Clement's time as manager.
Scott Wright's last Rangers appearance
was
at Hampden against Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly made a difference that day, didn't he? He just opened things up. He was positive. He drove at the Hearts defence. So maybe surprised that Clement's left it this long, because McCausland just had that one flash. So the young man probably will be disappointed that he didn't get more service, didn't get the ball more at his feet. Over at Scott Wright.
Such an odd season Scott Wright has had, because it looked as if he was out the door, did an interview at the airport as he was leaving to go over to Turkey to hold discussions about moving over there, decided it wasn't the right move for him, and now a few months later he's being tasked with coming on and making a difference for Rangers in a cup final.
I mean, is he a bit part player, or does Philippe Clement have a greater belief in him than that? as Rangers come forward in a serious way.
Yeah, Leon Balogun skipping forward. Scott Wright goes for the shot from distance, bounces up off an Aberdeen player. Scott Wright was claiming for a handball. It looked as if Gartenmann's arm was down and in a pretty natural position. We will see it again. Don Robertson will just hold up the taking of the throw-in just in case, letting VAR take a look at it. It actually comes off the shoulder, I think, of Gartenmann, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like the shoulder. Don Robertson just signalling as well in real time that came off the shoulder there of him.
Does he move his arm towards the ball?
It's the fact it deflects very quickly up in front of him, doesn't it? But if it's above the t-shirt line, then it can't be given. It looks as if that one...
Oh, it's certainly well above.
Yeah, play on, says Don Robertson, as we expected. Rangers with the throw-in. Borna Barisic to take out on the left.
With Daz in this one, the referees has been good today. You know, he gets that one spot.
Chance for James Tavernier. Ball drops down and there's a goal at Hampden.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And no surprise, it's that man again. James Tavernier coming up trumps. A crucial goal puts Rangers ahead at the National Stadium.
Big moment, possibly the biggest moment of all, but I'm going to resist the temptation to say that could be the only goal of the game, because you remember Ange Postecoglou's first League Cup win against Hibs? Hibs scored and I said that could be the only goal of the game, and by the time I had finished saying those few words, Kyogo had equalised at the other end. So what I will say is Aberdeen are now under tremendous strain, and it's a captain's goal, and it gives Rangers a heck of a chance of trophies.
Well, it's a tried and tested formula for Rangers, isn't it? It's Borna Barisic on the left, does well to skip past Dante Polvara to the byline, gets the deep cross in, and how well does James Tavernier do? Not only to take it down with a lot of bodies in front of him, but to get the shot away on target. Does Kel Roos need to do better there? It's
no doubt. Listen, let's give credit to the goal scorer first and foremost. He's in the position, a right back is one of your furthest forward players. I think Dessers, by the way, does well to wrap up Jensen and McGarry at the back post, which creates the space for Tavernier, and he gets it on target into the ground. However, there is no doubt Roos has to save it. The ball obviously coming off that slick surface picks up speed, but I think it's still in a position where the Aberdeen goalkeeper has to do better. But I says moments ago, James Tavernier, always the man when Rangers need a goal, he comes up with the goods, and he's done it once again on the biggest stage.
The funny thing about Tavernier, the man who was called a serial loser, you know, the Rangers don't win enough with him as captain, and the serial loser may have come up with the cup final winner.
And people talk about his record from the penalty spot, how many goals he gets from penalties, but you take those aside, the number of goals he's scored from open play, big goals in big games, did it during their Europa League run, has done it here at Hampden in the cup final. It may be a winning goal, it may not be a winning goal, but certainly at the moment it's a big goal.
It has the look of a match where one goal might be enough.
I think you're right in this one. I don't think you've anything to fear. Again, looking at Aberdeen, you would like to know Barry Robson's tactics, because they went 1-0 behind. The ball drops to Carson at the edge of the box, and without looking forward, he plays it back to his centre half, who lumps the ball forward into the goalkeeper Butland's hand, and you think that must be the game plan. But why is that the game plan? I understand they got their goal against Rangers at Pittodrie that way, but there's an element of kind of luck that came about with that goal. You can't just rely on long balls to Miovski and Duk and hope just to get a flick on somewhere.
Yeah, well, a big test for Barry Robson now. He's made 3 changes. He's got a couple left. Be interesting to see what he does now. Also interesting to see what Philippe Clement does. Does he decide to try and build on that lead? Well, that is what will be the final substitution for Barry Robson, because it's the 3rd substitution window, if you like. It's the 4th substitution he's made. Shaden Morris coming on, and it was Richard Jensen. Was that right? That came off, so it is an attacking change for Aberdeen. As you'd expect at this point in the game.
You were asking about Philippe Clement and his mindset. Now, you will have attended many Philippe Clement press conferences since he got here from Belgium. He's a very pragmatic man. When he won the semi-final, the first thing he said was, "That's all we've done, we won a semi-final." and he wouldn't talk about the final because there were games in the league to be played in between time. I think his mindset now is, we haven't won the final, we are going to have to go on and make sure that we do win the final, and that there will be no attempt to stonewall anybody. I think Rangers will go for the second and decisive goal.
I also have a feeling, and this is just looking ahead, if Rangers do win this, that he won't get too high if Rangers win this. He'll probably come out and say that there's plenty more for them to do and achieve.
I wonder if he might just crack a smile though, because you can't be a killjoy. He's the manager of the club, done very well, hasn't lost a game, but you surely have to let yourself go if you've won the first trophy of the season on top of the Real Betis result.
Oh, absolutely. I just think it's also maybe a product of the timing of the League Cup final these days, when it is in the midst of this busy Christmas period. Rangers play again on Wednesday. They then play again Saturday, Wednesday. Then there's an Old Firm game. He is going to make a change here. Todd Cantwell, who has impressed in the second half of this game, he's going to make way, and Sam Lammers is going to come on for the final 10 minutes of this game or so, and Kemar Roof coming on as well. You would expect Cyril Dessers will make way for him.
The pragmatic Phil is getting Roof on the park because he knows a second goal wins the cup. So he's not.
I think he also does a lot of defending from the front, Roof, doesn't he, in terms of chasing down and running and not giving the Aberdeen defenders much time on the ball.
Yeah, and that's going to be needed because Aberdeen are going to, they'll probably just stick to their tactic, but you need to put pressure on that back line to stop them lumping balls into your box. So 2 positive changes I think there for Clement. And by the way, I would see Rangers grabbing a second quicker than I would Aberdeen getting back into this.
And I think to go back to the point about the pragmatic Phil, if a manager doesn't really celebrate the cup final win, then you begin to think, look, are you doing this for effect?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying he won't celebrate it. I just think he's not the type of manager that will get carried away. A chance for Aberdeen, but it's into the arms of Jack Butland. Duke was claiming that he was held back there as he went to motion for the ball, but wasn't protesting too much, which sometimes tells the story.
Well, you'd claim for anything and everything in the Aberdeen's position right now.
Yeah, he's got his back to goal, turns James Tavernier, but he throw himself to the floor there, Duke.
Yeah, needs to be better, needs to be stronger. I just seen Shinnie a moment ago try to get John Lundstrom sent off. I don't think there was much in that, and Shinnie.
Well, this time Duke goes to ground, and once again he gets nothing for it. That time he's incensed that the decision from Don Robertson just took the touch past Dujon Sterling, who does have a hold of his shirt. But is there enough in there for a free kick, would you say so?
Well, without doubt.
Yeah, holds his shirt.
Duke went past him. Sterling's pulled him back. It's amazing how Don Robertson's not gave that one. But listen, I'm going to stick up for him. I think that's his only poor one of the afternoon. You can see by the players' reaction. You seen Duke when he went down the box moments ago. He knew he wasn't getting it. He knew he was trying to fool the referee into that. But that one there, you can see when players are absolutely incensed when the shirt's pulled.
I think in Don Robertson's defence, I think he was on the wrong side of Dujon Sterling there, so you would wonder how clear the shirt pull was, but certainly it was clear to us.
Yeah, I think he's got to obviously understand why would Duke go down in that situation when he's got the better and he's going into the box or going to make way into the box.
John Lundstrom carrying the ball forward for Rangers, maybe not quite at the tempo that they were a few minutes ago.
Funnily enough, I'm just looking at Seema there, having tipped him to be the man. He's a very quiet David. I
think Lundstrom's been the one that's probably stood out. I mean, he's been involved in a few hefty tackles. He's been booked, and I thought that's a tough one for him. But he's been quietly effective. Just kept things ticking over and kept that middle of the pitch pretty safe alongside Sterling.
Well, we're now into that stage. 5 minutes to go of regulation time. Strong minds, keen concentration. Every player on the park knows that they're almost there and they have to act accordingly.
Bojan Miovski, I feel like I've barely said Bojan Miovski's name as James Tavernier makes a vital interception. The only thing he can do is put it out for an Aberdeen corner.
Well, Miovski, you're right, we've not mentioned him at all, But we only mention them there because that's Aberdeen's tactic. Play it long, hope to get a flick on, and hope Miovski runs off the back. Now he gets a bit fortuitous there where the ball breaks to him, but it's just never happened for the other 85 minutes of the game.
Lathan Clarkson
Good
with
ball.
the delivery. It is a good ball. It's bouncing around the Rangers box. Dante Polvara puts it back into a dangerous area, and eventually it's Connor Goldson who puts his foot through it.
I think Rangers defend that really well. There's a lot of bodies in that box here. It's a great ball just into the back of the 6-yard box. Rangers just have enough players just to manage to get it away. Aberdeen putting on a wee bit of pressure like you'd expect in the closing moments.
Will be a warning sign for Rangers because Jack Butland has made some big saves this season but hasn't had to today so far. But with the ball bouncing around the box there, it might just give Aberdeen a bit of hope that if they can get it into that Rangers box, something might fall their way.
Well, as I say, you're into that stage of the game where you've just got to go for it now. Rangers and Aberdeen. Aberdeen, it's time for caution to go to the wins, because right now you're the runners up in the cup final. You might as well get up there where Rangers live and see what you can do.
I think this performance from Aberdeen, less than Nick something here. See the pace.
Yeah, Shaden Morris showing his pace, but Abdallah Sima also showing his. Not only wins the challenge, but also wins the free kick as well. And at that point in the game, 86 minutes in, to have your winger tracking back, you can see as well he's sprawled out on the surface.
You can see Barisic, an absolute dream. If you've got your winger, cover you like that and manage to dig out a hole, because Morris just breezed past Barisic, but Sima does so well, not only win the ball, stop the cross, win the ball, but then buy his team a foul. Great defending from the wide man there.
And it will buy Rangers a bit of time. You'd think they'll take their time over this free kick down in their own corner.
I was going to say there, Hugh, just with this performance from Aberdeen, it's the type of performance that does put Barry Robson under pressure again.
Because this run has been a very good thing for Barry Robson, because it's maybe shifted the focus slightly from their league form, although fans, will still be unhappy with what they've seen in the league. But once the League Cup run is over, and Europe is now over as well, all you're left with is looking at the league table.
Yeah, precisely. And they're joint second bottom. I mean, it's ludicrous. And there's no forgiveness. The fact that he got to a cup final will be forgotten about on the bus back to Aberdeen, and they then scrutinise every league performance. I'm not comparing Inverness Cally Thistle with Aberdeen or the Premiership in general, but Inverness Cally Thistle got to the cup final. Billy Dodds, the manager. A few weeks later, start of the following season, they binned them because the cup results, the league results were not all that they might have been. So it's gone in a flash. You got to the final, you didn't win it.
Yeah, well, Rangers just deciding to take that free kick that they had in a position where they could have launched it into the box, but deciding just to take it short with 2 minutes left of the 90. You wouldn't expect anything else at this point. They do win themselves a corner.
Roof does well there, doesn't touch the ball, but Shinnie obviously doesn't see him coming. It comes off his knee and goes out for a corner kick. So exactly where Rangers want the ball, on the corner flag. I can't see them being in any rush to put this in. Wonder if they'll hold it in there.
Yeah, well, Dujon Sterling has gone short. Rangers do take it short.
Yeah, it's the right tactic. I mean,
Keep
there's no point in putting yourself at risk. I say not that they'd be under much risk with what Aberdeen's presented in the rest of the game, but game management's key in occasions like this. And Philip Clement will know he's almost there. Not a sparkling vintage performance, in fact quite a poor performance, but like his other 13 games, gets the job done, keeps the door closed at the back, not many chances conceded, and he's got his right back to thank him yet again.
Yeah, Rangers fans have been happy with what they've seen of Philip Clement, how he's handled himself in the media, the victories they've had, especially the big one midweek. How much does this elevate him further in the early stages of his Rangers career? If Rangers do get this over the line, of course.
It begins to put him on an iconic footing. 14 games in, a trophy winner. the Rangers supporters yesterday, having listened to this programme and heard about Celtic and what they were not doing against Hearts, they must be extremely excited by the prospect of going to Celtic Park on the 30th of December for Phil Clement's first Old Firm game. So he is huge. 6 minutes added on. He's becoming a huge figure in a very short space of time. The last 16 of a European trophy, not to be sniffed at. A cup that you haven't won for 12 years in the cabinet. And the prospect of going top of the league because Celtic have taken to dropping points all over the shop. It's been quite the 4 days for Philippe Clement.
Yeah, the knock-on effect can be massive as well. Rangers playing on Wednesday night. The only fixture of the midweek card is Rangers against St Johnstone, that game in hand. This can just give them a further lift going into that game. That's not what cup finals are about. It's not about giving yourself a lift for the next game. It's about winning the trophy and getting that silverware, but focus always shifts to the next game, to the league, which is the bread and butter.
Without doubt, it's a nice time to do it, Andrew, just before Christmas, just at the halfway point of the season, and like Hugh says, just as Celtic have started to drop points, so everything falling into place nicely at Rangers for Clement. And January transfer window just round the corner as well. You just wonder what he thinks about that, how many he has to add, or how many can he add, and does that make Rangers an even better side?
If the Celtic supporters are extremely wary of Philippe Clement, then they're kidding themselves on.
Work still to be done though. There is, 4.5 minutes to go. There was just a moment or so ago a vital challenge in the middle of the park there by Dujon Sterling, who's done that quietly a few times as Duke works his way into the box and wins the free kick in a very good area for Aberdeen.
Well, it's pretty much identical to the one that Don Robertson doesn't give probably about 15 minutes ago. It's Scott Wright just done here with Duke's pace. He should have got a foot in there, but Scott Wright knows he's just about to go into the box, pulls him back, and you know what? Right decision from Scott Wright. He gets the tackle all wrong, but if he allows Duke to go in that box there, all sorts of opportunities open up for the Aberdeen frontman.
This could possibly be the best chance that Aberdeen will have between now and the end of the game. They've simply got to make the most
the goalie's
of it.
up.
Kel Roos is up already. There's 3.5 minutes
you like a goalie up
to go.
Like
the ball comes in, punched away by Jack Butland. Kel Roos then bundles into Jack Butland and will now have to run 100 yards in the other direction as Rangers get a free kick.
That sums up Aberdeen's day. Hugh just built it up. This could be the biggest chance Aberdeen has created. They send the goalkeeper up, who actually, looking at it, you know, he does go in to Butland, but ball's away. You know, his momentum's in taken in. I think Butland does well there to clear that ball. Anyway, a free kick given and the chance is gone. Barry's shouting his last come-ons to his team.
3 minutes. I mean, is
it 3.5 minutes is still quite a long time to go before sending your goalkeeper up, isn't it? You don't quite see it as early as that, but Aberdeen know just how important it is that they create that final chance if they can. Jack Butland having to come out of his box to send the ball out for a throw.
But that there, what we've seen from Aberdeen just there, back to the goalkeeper, up and flicked on from Duke for Miofsky to run down the side. That's been the whole game plan for Aberdeen, and it's quite something that they've not managed to achieve that an awful lot, because it's not really a complicated tactic to get right, is it? And that's the first time we've really seen it.
Yeah, I was just saying before there was a chance there about Dujon Sterling sort of going about his business quietly in midfield, having a few vital tackles in that area. He has been given the television broadcaster's man of the match for this game. The thing is, I don't think there really has been a standout performer for either team, but there's maybe a bit of context in there, just given the fact that he doesn't play regularly. He's not a central midfielder, has not really played there before either, but has come into this game and at the moment has played a part in what would be a cup-winning performance.
Again, I go back to the subject of managerial judgment. Philippe Clement, short on resources, Ryan Jack and Cifuentes out, and he's come up with Sterling, and right now it looks like the correct decision.
Yeah, well, Aberdeen now, it's just a case of them trying to launch this ball towards the Rangers box. It's Gartenmann's chance this time. The header is won. It's taken down at the edge of the box. There is a chance for a strike, and Leon Balogun manages to block it, and it goes out for an Aberdeen corner.
Back up. Come on, Roos.
Oh, he will
up
be.
You get. Yeah, Barry telling him to get up.
I mean, now it really doesn't matter if Rangers win 2-0. You've got to send the goalie up in the hope.
He's up.
Yeah,
he's up.
Yeah, less than a minute to go of the 6 added, a minimum, of course. The ball comes in. It's a poor delivery, but it's bouncing around in there. And it looks as if it will be potentially a free kick given. Jack Butland does have the ball in his arms. There's a bit of pushing and shoving going on. It's getting a bit feisty in there.
Well, you can just see that building up when there's that many bodies on the line, and Duke's trying to get up. People are grabbing people's shirts. They're in the net now.
Maybe a bit of added frustration as well. Aberdeen players just realising that that's possibly their chance to win this competition gone. Slobodan Rubezic, no stranger to a feisty affair. He's really trying to have a go at Leon Balogun or get towards him. He's being held back by Kel Roos.
Yeah, all turning a bit ugly here for Aberdeen. And you know what? They should have taken their frustrations out within the game rather than the last minute of a nothing situation. And you know what? The ironic thing was, it was a poor ball from the corner kick, but just caught everybody by surprise across the 6-yard box. Wonder if Duke could have done better. He was backing away. I wonder if he could have just got more on it. We'll see it again here.
Yeah, the ball comes in. James Tavernier doesn't get a clear foot on it, and it bounces into the 6-yard box. It's a bit of a mess in there, but Jack Butland does manage to spring and protect the ball. After that, there's quite a lot of pushing and shoving inside the Rangers goal, players falling into the net as well. I'm not quite sure who instigates it. Duke is on the ground.
It's Miovski pushes Balogun.
Yeah, Miovski pushing Balogun into the net. I think Rangers players weren't happy that Duke had put in a challenge on Jack Butland when he was on the floor, and it all got a bit messy.
After a dull afternoon, you need a bit of cabaret, don't you, Mark?
Well, that's probably the most entertaining thing that's happened.
I think there maybe was a couple of bookings in there. Don Robertson is just delaying play at the moment because VAR will have to check. Well, they are checking for possible violent conduct. Now, I think the whistle had already gone, so I'm not sure, but it just depends exactly who. This is where the communication comes in, that it's hard to tell exactly who would be the guilty party in all this. We are seeing it again. There's a few shoves in the back. It doesn't look as if there's any hands in the face, is there, from any players?
No, just go on with it, Don. Just say, look, we've all had enough of this. Let's go. By the way, the second 45 has no doubt been better than the first 45. Always find the man of the match one an interesting one. Sterling getting it. You're saying about context, but it's one guy.
There was a booking for Bojan Miovski and all that, and it looks as if the VAR check is over. Don Robertson hasn't been called over to the screen. Ryan Duncan has been booked as well. Sorry, it looks as if Leon Balogun also in the book. So Don Robertson did have a bit of admin to do there as Jack Butland sends it long. There probably will be a wee bit of time added on here. It's of course a minimum of 6 minutes added.
Did Rubezic get away with being booked?
Rubezic,
he was the one that was looking to take everybody on there.
Yeah, he hasn't been booked already in this game, but don't think he was booked in that incident. Borna Barisic was. We are now approaching the 99th minute of this match. Rangers have a throw in a pretty safe position.
Well, if you've waited 12 years to win this cup, another couple of minutes won't make any difference.
Yeah, a hectic end to the game. It has stretched out longer than we thought it would. Rangers do have a 1-0 lead, and you would expect that Don Robertson will be close to blowing his whistle. James Tavernier with the only goal of the game. Dujon Sterling winning the ball in midfield, sliced away by James Tavernier, out for a Rangers throw, and Don Robertson brings an end to the game at Hampden. Dalziel, Gordon Duncan and Kenny Miller are there.
Full time, and Rangers are the League Cup winners. It's finished Rangers 1, Aberdeen 0. A first trophy as Rangers manager for Philippe Clement. A first piece of League Cup success since 2011. not much in the game. The Aberdeen players are dead on their feet as the Rangers players go and take the acclaim of the fans here inside Hampden. And who else other than the captain who scores time and time again? It's James Tavernier's 14th goal of the season that wins this game and wins the League Cup for Rangers. Kenny Miller.
Yeah, it's an incredible achievement for Rangers winning the cup. Listen, it wasn't pretty at times. I think the second half was definitely better than the first. I think that goes without saying, but it was again that man who's turned up time and time again in the big moments when it dropped to him. I must say, I don't think Kel Roos covers his selling glory with the finish, but it ended up in the back of the net. Rangers win 1-0, and it's the main man, as always, the talisman that delivers on the big moments.
I've got to say,
congratulations to Rangers.
Ken, I've got to say, I said before the game kicked off that I thought the key areas would be down the flanks. Barisic on the left hand side does absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. He puts the ball to the back post. You're right, maybe if you're looking at it from an Aberdeen point of view, goalkeeper could do better. But Tavernier, who's come in for a bit of criticism throughout his Rangers career, once again, what a servant this guy's been, what a goal scorer he's been, and he gets the cup for Rangers, the captain. I thought the second half was a bit better. I thought Rangers did deserve to win it, and they'll celebrating tonight.
Yeah, the cup final day, Kenny, the whole point is it's all about the result. It really is all about the result. We sometimes say that, but it's never truer than on cup final day. It wasn't vintage from either team, it wasn't vintage from Rangers, but they are about to lift that trophy once again.
And that's exactly it. I mean, they've been in a lot of these occasions, and even watching them on in the cup final, sometimes they're not pretty, but it's about getting the job done. It's about, at the end of the day, getting your hands on that trophy. And I think it's really, really important for this group, for Philippe Clement as a manager, to get that first one in the bag as a coach at Rangers now in the first 2 months of his reign. So you can see what it means to the fans. You can see the players now, they'll enjoy the celebrations. They'll not care about how they've played. The fans certainly won't care about the performance. All they'll care about is that trophy's going back to the trophy room in Ibrox.
Yes, is this the start of something special under Philippe Clement, or is it a false dawn? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure this evening, Rangers are League Cup winners for season 23-24, and you can have your say right now with Kenny Miller, Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins as well. Rangers fans, sum up that achievement. How pleasing was that for you? What did you make of the game itself and the big talking points? Let's go through it all on 0141 951 1025.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Scenes of celebration in one half of Hampden, scenes of disappointment in the other. The Aberdeen players stand, hands on knees, hands on hips, hands on heads, waiting to go and collect their runners-up medals. But the Rangers scene is very different up the other end. The Rangers players over there enjoying this moment with the fans. They've been starved of success really in recent seasons. Of course, it's the other half of Glasgow that's won most of these competitions in recent seasons, so understandable that Rangers are enjoying their moment here. It's their first one under Philippe Clement. It is the first League Cup success since 2011, so you can sense that relief, that joy, that euphoria coming from the Rangers fans. Don't tell Hugh Keevins, because I remember this upsetting him on Scottish Cup final day. It looks like they will go and get the trophy on the pitch rather than up the famous old stairs at Hampden. Hugh, this must be a change that we're going to have to get used to.
Well, it's school sports day for me, and that not worthy of a major final in our country. But I'm looking at Phil Clement dancing, Gordon, with the Rangers players there. So the mask did drop. He got himself his first trophy as Rangers manager, and I was going to use the expression let his hair down, but it's not quite applicable to Philip Clement
or Alex Ray or certain other members of his backroom team as well, so we'll probably leave the hair jokes there. But Graham Shinnie is about to lead the Aberdeen players to get their runners-up medals. And just a quick reminder, I know it sounds a bit different, but the open line is here. Let's hear from you. 0141 951 1025. Rangers fans, what did you make of that? How good does it feel to win this League Cup? What did you make of the game itself? How significant could this be for Philippe Clement? Give us a call. Kenny Miller, I don't suppose any cup final defeat is good, but if you're an Aberdeen player, how annoying must that feeling this evening be? Not saying that they should have won it, but they must know there wasn't much in the game. Does that in some ways sting even more?
I think they'll be really disappointed. I will, if I was in that Aberdeen dressing room or part of that group, you would kind of have the feeling it's maybe an opportunity missed, because Rangers weren't at the best today. I mean, they dug in, like you say, there wasn't a lot in the game. But in the moments that they had, they just never took them. They never made the most of them. And even at the end, like, when they went out with a little bit of whimper, they never asked too many questions of Jack Butland over the course of the game. Definitely not in that last 10 minutes, when you would be thinking they were throwing everything in it to try and get back into it. This is a one-off game, a cup final, and they just kind of went out a little bit with a whimper. So I do have the sense that they will feel it's an opportunity missed. They never gave it, probably put their best foot forward. But like you say, cup finals are tight affairs, and it's up to you when you get your moment to take it. And James Tavernier was the man today to step up and grabbed it.
It's a group of Rangers players, Gordon Dalziel, who've had a lot of criticism, and lots of it deserved as well. They saw performances so poor that the manager was sacked just a couple of months ago. Do you almost sense that relief and joy from them watching the celebrations here?
Yeah, and let's be honest, they deserve it. As Kenny rightly said, it wasn't a classic, but it's all about winning the cup. It's all about picking that trophy up. I think Rangers done enough to do that. I didn't think Aberdeen were particularly that good today. I thought it was a good opportunity for them. Barry threw substitutions at it, just didn't work. But these Rangers players, they come in for a lot of criticism with Michael Beale. They've had to handle that, especially Captain James Tavernier. We were getting phone calls about he was never a captain, he was never a leader. Well, he showed that today. He stood up to it, and he's got the cup for Rangers.
And he's about to complete the set domestically as a Rangers captain as well. He does, of course, have Scottish Cup and Scottish Premiership winners' medals in his house somewhere. I don't know where he keeps them, but he's about to add a League Cup winners' medal to that as well, and hold this trophy high for the Rangers fans to enjoy in the not too distant future. Mark Wilson, you've been on both sides of this. It's always about the contrast in emotions at this point, isn't it?
Oh, without doubt. I've collected a couple of losers' medals, and you have to stand there and watch the winners go up, and it's incredibly difficult to take. And particularly if you've been like Aberdeen were today, particularly poor. But for Rangers players, a long time since they've won this trophy. A lot of new players in this squad to go alongside the new manager, the new coaching team, and they've not had to wait long until they get their hands on their first piece of silverware. They've done it at their first attempt, and Philippe Clement and this Rangers side will take great confidence, and it sets them up for such an important period in the coming weeks, where they've got a couple of games before they play Celtic on the 30th. What better way to prepare for that than lifting the League Cup here at Hampden today?
Yeah, just some final words for his captain from Philippe Clement. He spotted something as well. That something is Barry Robson. He obviously hasn't managed to shake his hand, Philippe Clement, so he's made a beeline over to the Aberdeen technical area. It's a lengthy handshake for Barry Robson, and the full trophy presentation is waiting on Philippe Clement returning to his spot. SPFL staff directing him back onto this makeshift stage. He ushers James Tavernier forward as well. The winner's medal goes round the neck of the Rangers skipper, SPFL Chief Executive Neil Doncaster, doing the duties, and Philippe Clement follows. This is the bit the Rangers fans have been waiting for, hoping for. They've not seen this trophy lifted by a Rangers captain in quite some time, and here he goes, James Tavernier, two hands on it, gives the suspense, the build up, holds it down low, and then eventually up into the sky here at Hampden, much to the delight of these Rangers fans. The pyrotechnics go off, the Rangers fans and players celebrate, and by contrast the Aberdeen players trudge off the Hampden pitch, heads bowed. They know this was a big opportunity. They too were longing for this piece of silverware, having not won it since 2014, but it wasn't enough for them. A final kick of a rogue water bottle from Bojan Miovski, maybe summing up how the Aberdeen players feel. But my goodness, these Rangers fans are going to enjoy this moment. Kenny Miller, you've won many trophies as a Rangers player. What will those players be feeling like down there at the moment?
Firstly, a bit of relief that the job's been done. Excuse me, they've got their hands on the trophy, and I think they've got to have the sense that this could be the start of a special season. It's a big period coming up, going into the old firm at the end of the year, and then they've got the break. But it's the first trophy in the cabinet. You set out to win every single competition you enter when you represent Rangers and Celtic for that matter. But they've got the first one in. They've got a big opportunity at the end of this month, if they continue this kind of winning consistency under Philippe Clement, to go to Celtic Park, and that could be an opportunity for Rangers to potentially go top of the league. You know, for the first time, and again at the start of the season, looked very, very unlikely that these types of moments would be available to this Rangers team. But they've got the first one in. They have to take great belief from Thursday, from today, and moving into the end of this kind of run before the break.
What I will say, Kenny, is I think Rangers in a very good place. And the reason being, you know, you look at a team today, they weren't at the top of their form, Gordon. They were certainly not at their top of their game.
Great momentum,
yet,
haven't they?
They've got. I think he's installed this winning mentality into them. And the result, for me, there was going to be one opportunity in the game. I always thought it was going to be Rangers. As I say, Barisic down left-hand side. That man, the captain, stepped up and obviously won the cup for Rangers. But even when they're not at the top of the game, he's installed something into these players.
Signs of a good team, that. It's a team that's actually a winning team. It maybe has that little bit between the teeth at the moment.
And in a roundabout way, if we get a bit deeper, that might be a great combination for Philippe Clement, Kenny, where I'm pretty sure he knows he needs to improve this team. I'm pretty sure he knows he needs to get his own players in and make them better. Yet he's about to hold that trophy up here at Hampden in the meantime.
Well, you know what, I was just thinking towards the end of the game, you would much rather play not so good and lift it than play really, really well and lose it, you know. So there's one thing over the course of Philippe Clement's kind of short reign as a Rangers manager. The results have been there. That winning consistency's been there, and they've done it in different ways. They've done it with 3-0s and 4-0s a couple of times, but they've also done it going right to the death when they've not played well and stole results. Today they got their moment and the captain turned up yet again.
And he holds the trophy up once again. He's taken it over for a look at the other side of Hampden. Lots of Rangers fans in here, of course. They all want a piece of the action, a piece of the euphoria, and that's what the Rangers players are giving over on the far side here at Hampden. Gordon Dalziel, you could do a full other show on Rangers' difficulties since they last won this League Cup, but the problem for many Rangers teams and many Rangers managers is the expectation never really goes away. So there's been a lot of domestic failure in there, and that's why moments like this are probably being enjoyed as much as they are right now.
Yeah, let's be honest, Ken and I have both played for a club. The pressure that's on you to win trophies and be successful is unbelievable. It doesn't matter if you look back to 2011, the last time they lifted it. They came here favourites. They came here under this new manager that a lot of people believe that this will not be the first trophy, it'll be probably many trophies. So they did have to handle that pressure today. As I said, Gordon, the sign of a good team and team knitting together is they didn't play particularly well. It wasn't vintage performance, but you get over that line. Kenny's right, you'll forget about the performance. It's all about winning silverware, and he's off to a terrific start.
Yeah, Mark Wilson, if you pitch this against expectations maybe 12 weeks ago, that makes the success even sweeter, doesn't it? Rangers were in disarray. We know the way it works in Glasgow. It's very easy to be labelled in a crisis. It can come around very quickly, but if you have to bin a manager that early into the season, you are, by Glasgow definition, in crisis. And then a couple of months later, trophy up into the Hampden sky.
Yeah, without doubt. Quite ironic that it was that day at Ibrox against Aberdeen where Aberdeen won, that the Rangers fans saw no hope ahead anytime soon, that is. And it's changed pretty quickly. We discussed in the couple of weeks after that how Rangers had to take their time and get a manager who had a background of winning, who knew how to win and in a quick space of time. And they'd done their homework, and there was a few candidates that got down to the final two, but they've picked wisely with Clement, who does have a background of winning trophies and knows how to build teams. And it's shown that in these 14 games that he's had over 3 different competitions, the League Cup, the League and in Europe, progressing nicely. The Rangers fans like what they're seeing, and he's not had an awful lot of time to work with these players. They must be thinking, the Rangers fans, how good can Philippe Clement get this team when he gets a few signings in January and longer to work with them.
And Hugh Keevins, he's getting a rapturous applause. As you say, the mask has slipped a little bit. He's missed their composure up until this point, but he's given it big licks in front of the Rangers fans.
Yeah, I think he had to do that, Gordon, because it begins to look as if you're being grumpy for effect. He's let his emotions show, and I think people may have to get used to these celebrations, because I think this man is a serious manager. He, in 4 days, has gone last 16 of Europe, won a trophy, and now has the whip hand in the Premiership title race. This guy, I think, is going to torment Celtic.
And yet, Kenny Miller, you've outlined the level of expectancy at this club. That's kind of the way it has to be. Philippe Clement will enjoy his night, and then it becomes about trying to do it again. Dare I remind everyone, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst won a Scottish Cup. Rangers fans and Celtic fans for that matter, since we're talking Glasgow, it's the next one, it's the next one, it's the next one.
And it's important that they have that mindset. You know, I think too much a couple of seasons ago, 3 seasons ago now, when Rangers won the league, it seems like there was a real foot off the gas of the achievement. It was stopping Celtic getting 10 in a row. The league title had been kind of won for the first time in a long time as well, and it was like there's a foot off the gas. It's really important that the team, the group, the manager, that they drive that kind of mindset that yes, this is great and you'll enjoy tonight. Well, there's a big game in 3 days at Ibrox on Wednesday night. You need to win that. It could be 3 points towards a league title. This manager, I don't think, will allow that type of mindset, that kind of complacency to creep in. He seems driven, he's saying all the right things. You can see him, he's loving this time today. And you know, I think that's really important as well. I think the fans can endear you to the fans. They can see the celebrations. Hugh's right, sometimes you can just maybe be too serious and too stern and maybe grumpy for the sake of being grumpy. But you know what, he's enjoying this today. And you know what, he'll enjoy his night. He'll be back to work tomorrow morning.
And the same will go for the players, Gordon, because there is that core there. You've got to praise James Tavernier on days like this, and Connor Goldson and Borna Barisic and John Lundstrom up to a point, and guys that have been there for a long time. They tasted Premiership success and couldn't build on it. They tasted Scottish Cup success and couldn't build on it. This is the time to try and do it once again, to show the lessons have been learned.
I think the important thing you say there is about building on this success. Now, it's only a few weeks until that transfer market, the window opens, Gordon. This manager's not brought a player in yet. That's going to be the exciting time for Rangers. If he's as good with an eye for a player he is, his tactics and getting the best out of this team just now, then I think it's good times for Rangers ahead, because he's come in, he's hit the ground running, he's made such an impression. You're right, he's out there enjoying it with his staff, but he'll be back to work tomorrow.
Come on then, Rangers fans, what did you make of that? How good does it feel to be League Cup winners again after a long wait? Pick up that phone and let us know how much credit does Philippe Clement deserve. He's a bit of a whipping boy on the show, but the captain, 14 goals for the season, a winner in a cup final. What have you got to say about his contribution? And Aberdeen fans, if there are any out there, where did it go wrong today? 01419511025. Give us a call right now and we'll speak to you next.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde 1 Super Scoreboards open line.
The dust is slowly, very slowly beginning to settle here at Hampden. A couple of Rangers fans have been bold enough to leave and head home, but most are still out there enjoying the rain, enjoying the scenes of celebration as the players all take their turn at getting their hands on that League Cup trophy. Don't forget, the open line is here. It is a bit different on Cup final day. I know there's a lot going on, but let it be known the offer is there. We like to hear from you on these big occasions on 0141 951 1025. Rangers fans, how good does it feel? How do you sum up this achievement? What did you make of the game specifically? How confident are you? This is the start of something special under the new manager, and everything else that goes into a day like this. It's 0141 951 1025. Why not give us a call right now? Hugh Keevins and Mark Wilson are in the studio. Gordon Dalziel and Kenny Miller are here with me, Gordon Duncan, at the National Stadium. And just looking around, Kenny, and thinking some of the players here, there's so many stories starting to develop within that team. You know, the guys that have been there over the course and distance, and then the new ones that are emerging, maybe like Ross McCausland. There are new signings tasting silverware for the first time. But let's start with the captain. He said it completes the set for him. Scottish Cup in the bag, Scottish Premiership. He would have wanted more. He's been slaughtered for not having more, and that's fine. That is valid. But you know, the set's complete now, and trust it to be him from right back who pops up with his 14th of the season. Yeah, and listen, again, it's no surprise when those moments pop up that he's there on the end of it. And you're right, he's taking a lot of criticism. For me, I think unfairly at times. It just seems like he is an easy target. It's the same old things that get thrown at him every time as well. But every single time he pops up, 2 years ago, he's the leading scorer in the Europa League from fullback. Like, I think of the players that are in that, the teams that are in it. He's won the league, he's won the Scottish Cup. Again, he pops up in the semi-final with a big double to get Rangers through to the final. And in the moment where it was, listen, it wasn't a great game, let's be honest.
but it's went full back to full back, left back, across to the back post. Who's the one that's in there getting on the end and got the composure and the technique to get that volley down into the ground and into the roof of the net? It's the man who's done it so many times. I think, what's that, 113, 114 goals that he's got, countless assists. He just comes up in the big moment, you know. So listen, he'll enjoy tonight as the set complete, but he'll have his eyes on, like you say, he'll be having his eyes on going again and making sure this season could be a really memorable one.
I don't think you can throw the accusation now that he's not a captain, he's not a leader. Stood up today. This game needed a goal. It was going to be that kind of situation where one goal was going to win it, Gordon. It was written all over it. Wasn't a classic. That man Tavernier again. I always, it baffled me, the criticism he came in for. Defending, yes, everybody can look at that, but what he gives you going forward, the goals, the returns, the assists, he's been absolutely brilliant for Rangers. A terrific signing, and he deserves a big day today.
We are definitely in danger of becoming numb to the goal statistics, Mark Wilson, and I always put this to you because you played the position, so you can sympathise with it.
Slightly different from the way he plays
with the challenge of it though. And again, and because I know it's Glasgow and the way it works, we spend so much of our time arguing about how many are penalties and whether they should be penalties, but the numbers are there, even if, and you don't have to because you still need to score them, but if it makes you happy, take the penalty total out. He's still scored a scandalous amount for a right back.
Oh, without doubt. So you need to dissect it in a few different ways. The penalties is one thing, but you still have to have the temperament and the technique to step up there and take the penalties. But then when you look at the goals away from that, set pieces, free kicks, he's a brilliant set piece taker, and he almost opens the scoring this evening with a one just in the second half as well. But then when you take from open play, first of all, you got to look at the positions he gets himself in and the fitness levels that's required to consistently get yourself in at the back post when your left back or left winger's got the ball. You don't see many full-backs doing it, and it's for that reason they don't do it, because they've just not got the engine to get there. But I think the most impressive thing is the composure when he gets in those situations. He takes the chances like a creative midfielder or a striker or an outside right when he gets in those situations. You only have to look at the one today, the winner today, where it's an incredibly difficult one to take, but he makes sure he gets it on target and makes the goalkeeper work, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. So it's not all just about penalties. Positioning, engine, technique, calmness when he gets there, that's all what amounts to the goals tally that he's got for Rangers. Quite extraordinary for a right back.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon Dale, if you want to take just this competition and just the big moments in it, the latter stages, the semi-final, it was 0-0 at half-time, it was 0-0 after 50 minutes. It actually wasn't a vintage day that day either, and he scored a double, so he gets a double in the semi-final, and then one, and then the winner, the only goal in the final.
I'm going to tell you, a centre-forward would be delighted his goal-scoring record, and he's always a danger. As I say, the label of his defending at the beginning was thrown at him, but in the modern day game, for a fullback to get up and down the pitch, and Mark highlighted every strength he's got there, and he's got terrific quality, even in delivery, and you talk about his penalty kicks, but you've still got to stand up there, be calm and composed and stick them away. But he's been absolutely, you cannot deny he's been brilliant for Rangers.
01419511025, that is the number you need. It's the number that Ross in Cumbernauld has dialed. Well, he's from Cumbernauld, but you must be somewhere near Hampden, Ross, if you were at the game.
Final, just heading back home now. Thank you very much for taking the phone call.
A pleasure, Ross. How good does that feel?
Words don't even describe it, if I'm brutally honest. I think the turnaround from 12 weeks ago for Philippe Clement, to come in and turn these players around, I think that John Lundstrom and Dujon Sterling, I think that they were absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I take my hat off to every one of them. But I think Kenny Miller touched on it earlier on. Yes, James Tavernier has had his critics in the past, but listen, he is your captain, he's my captain, and I think he's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad that Ross introduced the other name, because the one I was going to bring up next is the kind of opposite of James Tavernier. If we're talking about being here a while, a regular part of the team, what about Dujon Sterling? Gordon and Kenny, he has just been signed. He is a right back or a centre back. This was his third start for the club in midfield, and he's man of the match in a winning cup final.
I thought he handled the situation brilliantly. I really did. I watched him. He got about the pitch. The positions where he was taking up was very good because he's a natural right back. He likes to play right back. But he was asked to go and do a job today in an unnatural position. And I've got to say, if I was picking a man of the match, it would have certainly been him.
Yeah, listen, I think we touched on at the top of the show that he's definitely got the physical attributes to play in there. It allows the likes of Cantwell and Seema and McCausland and Dessers to kind of go, and even Tavernier and Barisic for that matter, to go in, because when they're out of position, more often than not, he was the one that was getting out in the wider areas to cover. You know, he's got the legs to do it, the physicality. I must say, I thought Leon Balogun was excellent today as well. I mean, that would be the guys I would have picked out, Sterling, Lundstrom and Balogun. I thought they were, even in that first half, Balogun kind of had a lot of things away. But going back to Sterling, he came on Thursday night, was excellent in the position. There was a lot of chat, is this a wee kind of sign of what could be to come on Sunday in the cup final? And it was, and he was absolutely outstanding, fully deserves his winner's medal. He's played a big part in the team today, so yep, congratulations to them all.
Ross, what is the bit that gives you the most joy? Is it the length of time it's been since you won this trophy? Is it the turnaround under Philippe Clement? Is it the fact you didn't see this coming even a couple of months ago?
I think it's all three, if we have to really sum it up at this point in time. Yeah, I mean, I think the length of time it's taken us to win this tournament. You know, I mean, we've had some pretty poor performances in it recently. But I think that the job that Philippe Clement's done since he came in that can't be overestimated at any point. It's absolutely fantastic. The confidence that he's got these guys playing with, and you know, I like to think of myself as quite an honest person. Did I have the league written off? Not necessarily, but it was not far away from being there. But listen, this is massive, and this certainly takes us right back into the hunt for that title now. And I think we'll push on and give it a right good shot. Yeah,
is that why a cup win like this can be so important, Ross? Because ultimately it's a trophy in the cabinet. That's what you're trying to achieve today. But is there also, you know, hope that it's a kind of knock-on effect, especially now that we have this final so early in the season? You don't need me to remind you, we've seen Celtic win this, and then it kind of kicks them on, you know, to go on and add to that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the adverse effect that this can have is absolutely monumental. So, no, I really hope the guys can kick on and get their hands on more silverware this year.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? No, Ross is well aware of this goes differently today. Everything the Rangers fans believed in Philippe Clement is questioned again. That's why it was vital to get this over the line.
Let's not get carried away here. It's been an absolutely brilliant start, right? You couldn't fault him. I think there's a lot of work still to be done. He's put himself in a fantastic position in Europe. He's put himself in a fantastic position because of the form of Celtic lately. You know, and there's a lot of important games coming up. I can't wait till the January window opens to see the quality player or what sort of player he's going to bring. Is he going to change his style? Is he going to change his system? But he's got a great tune out of a lot of players that come under a lot of pressure. And today, even putting Sterling in there in the middle of the park, man of the match, he has this, I think Hugh touches on it, he has this manager's touch about him. You can tell he's been a manager, even in the way he handles himself in the dugout compared to, and I'm not being critical of maybe Michael Beale, who is just in a job as a manager, always worked under being a coach, but he has a stature that I think players respond to, Gordon.
Ross, in terms of the game itself, was there ever a fear and nervousness that it wasn't going to go your way? It clearly wasn't a vintage afternoon, but were you always confident it would get over the line?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't always pleasing on the eye, but listen, I'm always confident in the team, and I think that yes, it was a couple of moments of unnerviness, but no, I think across the whole base, I think we deserve to win today. So, yeah,
where were you sitting, Ross?
We were sitting in the main stand.
Yeah, probably. If you just look up, did you see Gordon Dale's trainers?
No, I missed him, unfortunately.
They were lighting up this side of the pitch. One of the floodlights went out, but he managed to do us a turn. So thank you very much to Ross from somewhere between Hampden and Cumbernauld, now heading back and enjoying his afternoon, no doubt. Serge is also on the line. Serge, sum up how you feel after that success.
Absolutely delighted, panel. Thanks for taking my call. I agree a lot with Ross. It wasn't vintage, and I'll go one step further. That up until maybe the past couple of weeks, my only hope was Celtic were so bad for Rangers to contest the league. Maybe now is the momentum shifting, because the Yanks go on about momentum, and it seems the momentum is shifting. We'll see what happens at Parkhead come the end of December and what happens at January sales, but I'm telling you, it's not a great Celtic team, and I'll be disappointed if we don't win this league. I'm not saying we will, but I think it's now capable, and I had them written off, but I'm delighted. Unfortunately, I had to give my youngest son the ticket. I watched the game there with my stepdad and my daughter, who's a former Rangers player. We're just delighted. It's a trophy, and as Big Golson said after the game, it's all about getting on that board when numbers have been part of history.
Serge, what do you mean, unfortunately, I had to give the ticket to my son? That's just parental love, is it not?
He goes to more. He manages to get to more games than me, and obviously he's got his dad's passion. So I'm glad that he sees these things live in the flesh. I've seen plenty as a Rangers fan. I'll die happy as a Rangers fan if I die tomorrow. But definitely, I believe the momentum could be shifting. I'm not making any big bold predictions because I think we're very much a team that needs some new faces. But I like the manager, and Gordon made a lot of good points for once, funnily enough. DL, right? I think Gordon was spot on with a lot of the stuff he says. This guy, he's mad, and the way he deals with stuff, and he's a winner. Now, there's a lot to go until the end of the season, but that's not a great Celtic team. There's not much to beat the other side of the city. So fingers crossed we go and we kick on.
All threatened to take a bit of a morbid turn. We hope Serge stays with us beyond tomorrow. I think it has to be said. Although, anyway, let's just move on from that. Hugh Keevins like that. Serge, you can sense the excitement, and he kept saying, "I'm not going to make any bold statements. I'm not going to." But he wanted to, and he said, "There's not much to beat over the other side of the city." So there was almost a bold statement at the end, but that's the excitement, isn't it?
I think my mind goes forward now to Rangers St Johnstone. I think the atmosphere inside the stadium midweek will be incredible, because the Rangers fans know, they instinctively know, that Celtic at the moment look to have gone. They've dropped 8 points in a matter of days, and the disturbances at the ground yesterday, the chants against the chairman Peter Lawwell, the callers here last night, 7 of them, all wanted Brendan Rodgers sacked, and Celtic are in trouble. And they have Dundee away in the game before they play Rangers at Celtic Park. They'll beat Livingston next Saturday. If they don't beat Livingston, it's crisis with a capital C. But I think the Rangers supporters now understand that they have the whip hand. Celtic do not have the destiny of the title in their own hands anymore, because if Rangers win the 2 games in hand, they are top of the league, and now they have the first trophy of the season, and there is turmoil at Celtic Park. So in 4 days, Philippe Clement has absolutely transformed the complexion of the season for Rangers as much as he has transformed the complexion of the squad at Rangers.
Don't start a debate on what having it in your own hands means, because if Celtic win every game between now and the end of the season, they'll win the title, so it's still in their hands. But I get what you mean. There has obviously been a momentum shift, clearly, Gordon, and that's where that's the way Glasgow operates. In other cities, I understand why people would say, look, Rangers are playing Aberdeen today, it's not about Celtic, but it just always is. That's the whole point, because with the last time you and I were here, it was Scottish Cup final day, Celtic won the treble, and it was all about, well, Celtic are going to continue to dominate Rangers. There was very little about Inverness. That's just Glasgow.
Yeah, I think momentum is going with Rangers just now, Gordon, but you know how quickly that can turn. I think January is going to be so important for both clubs. You know, who they bring in, who they let go, how they strengthen their squads. As I say, I think every Rangers fan tonight is over the moon with the appointment. Come on, I liked the way he showed his energy today, the happiness, he was celebrating. He'll probably enjoy his night, back to work tomorrow, because he knows now, and especially today, with celebrating with these fans and these players, how important it is for his club to keep winning trophies. And it's going to be difficult, there's no doubt about that, but he's certainly hit the ground running. But I'll tell you, we can talk all day, we'll all have our eyes on that Celtic Rangers game, and
still more to come before that. Thank you very much to Serge. It's 01419511025 if you'd like to join in, and please do. After the break, we're going to start hearing from the managers here at Hampden.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboards Open Line.
Kenny Miller and Gordon Dalziel are still here at Hampden. Hugh Keevins and Mark Wilson in the Warren Thorby studio. We're going to speak to Alan on the line, but let's get the thoughts of the losing manager first. Barry Robson.
I thought it was a tight game. I think it was two teams going for it. There was a lot of emotion in the game. I think it's been a while since we've won a cup. It's been a while since Rangers have won the cup, and I think first half we were structurally pretty good in that transition we're normally good at. I know they were scared of, and we probably picked the wrong pass 2 or 3 times, and I thought we could have cut them open then. And second half, I think we had a goal. We tried to have a goal, tried to make positive impact with subs, and we tried to go and try and win the game, and we just fell short. They gave me everything. I think we're all I think that was clear. I think when you've got Rangers Football Club hanging in there at the end, kicking balls out the pitch, I think that's quite. It shows you what we tried to do as a team, and we want to come and be in more finals.
Yeah, understandable disappointment there, and of course he's right. I think anyone that watched it would know it was tight and there wasn't much in it. Ultimately, that matters not that much on Cup final day, which I'm sure is why Alan on the line is so pleased. Alan?
I'm absolutely ecstatic. It wasn't the best of games, especially the first half, but no, we deserved to win at the end. We had more chances than Aberdeen did, and for a change we kind of started to get dominant, especially in the second half. But honestly, what a manager he is. He said he'll produce a bit of a magic. Well, he's got a brilliant one, because now that the team, there's a transition that we've been going through since he came here, and I'll tell you, it certainly has worked. The team's responding to him there. Even the players that aren't playing too well are responding as well, which makes a big change too. But at the end of the day, the goal quite late on, and I thought that was it. It was finished. I was quite surprised when it came up 6 minutes extra. I don't know where they got that from. But at the end of the day, we won the cup for the first time, in 10 years. It's a trophy. It's the first one of the season, and what a time to get it there. And we're playing well with Celtic dropping points now. I mean, as you already said, what's that, 8 points in the last 3 games? Are they starting to feel the pinch now? Are they getting worried? Because I'm certainly, Rangers aren't now. 2 games in hand. We've got St Johnstone midweek, so that'll be some night at Ibrox on Wednesday night there. But as I said there, I'm not getting carried away. There's still a long way to go, especially in the January window.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon and Kenny, Alan's right. It's certainly, look, the first half you can just completely stick in the bin, right? There was nothing to go over. It did start to open up. Not entirely sure the quality raised much, but it certainly opened up, and then there were chances, and in some regards the goal was coming. There was, remember, Ross McCausland went through, he couldn't quite get the purchase on it, and Roos saved. There was that Rubizic error, Dessers was in. It was a bit like the other night, he chopped back again, a good Roos save. James Tavernier signalled his intentions with a free kick, so it was starting to head in that direction, and you knew one goal would win it, didn't you?
There were a few half chances you've got to say, Gordon, second half, and I thought the pace in the second half was a little bit better. The game opened up, but it just had a feeling that one goal was going to decide this cup final, and I always thought the Rangers looked the more dangerous. And I said earlier before the game, I thought down the wide areas, because Barisic, we know that he comes in for a bit of criticism as well for his defending, but he does absolutely brilliant down this left flank. You know, he stands up at the back post, and that man Tavernier, your 2 full-backs right high up the pitch, takes a touch. Yes, you can look at the goalkeeper, but Tavernier not be bothered about that. And that one goal, yes, Aberdeen threw a little bit at them and put a little bit of pressure on, but you always thought the one goal was going to be the decider, and it ended up that way.
Yep, it was. It certainly was. And again, I'm saying Kel Roos he'll look back and he'll be disappointed, but it's the fact that Tavernier got over it. He got it down into the ground, and you're using that kind of wet surface and to generate more power and getting it. So it's a big result for Rangers. It's important now. Again, they can enjoy tonight. They get back to work tomorrow. They've got to prepare for. They've put a lot of work in. As much as Celtic have dropped points, the Rangers still had to win. You know, they've had to win their games to gain ground. So they've got an opportunity on Wednesday night, one of the games in hand, to go and kind of get closer to Celtic. And you know, I know there's still a couple of games for both before then. I can't help but look to 30th of December. It could be an absolutely cracking game at Celtic Park on the 30th of December, where there is going to be a lot at stake in terms of top of the league and what this kind of league title race is going to look like after the break.
Thank you very much to Alan on the line in 01419511025. I'm not sure we'll hear from Philippe Clement before we disappear, because he's still doing various other duties down there at the pitch side at Hampden, and it's continuing to chuck it down, by the way, just in case anyone cares. But the pitch held up fine. It didn't have too much of an impact, I don't think, on the game. A bit blustery, maybe that was part of the lack of quality in that first half. But again, Gordon, we've done this show live from Hampden many times. The actual 90-minute plus analysis doesn't need to really take place too much in Cup final day.
No, and if you're Rangers manager, you're not walking in the dressing room and sitting down having a go at one or two players because of missed passes or have been slack or whatever. It's all about winning silverware, Gordon. Whether you win it in style or not, it's lifting the trophy, and Rangers have achieved that.
Mark is just up the road in Pollock. What do you think, Mark? How does that feel?
It feels great, to be honest. To watch it with my two boys is just a different level at the minute, because obviously we've not really had that much success, but no, it's great.
How old are they? How old are the boys?
5 and 10.
So you've been trying to explain that you used to see this trophy being won quite often, and this has not been a thing recently.
Right now they've only been doing it on FIFA at the minute, so it's different level to watch it on the TV. But I just wanted to give a special mention to Sterling. I thought he was brilliant today. I think he just fitted in there seamlessly, and he just said that people need to get halves back. You just can't grumble with the guy at all. He's captain phenomenal for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, Hugh, the Dujon Sterling story. I know you're one for the stories, of course, with your newspaper hat on.
Yeah.
That's a good story, isn't it?
It's a story of managerial judgment. He picked the right guy. You know, when Cifuentes had the red card problem and Rangers appealed it, I thought Rangers' appeal was chancing their arm, really, because they were short of options. And, of course, the appeal was thrown out. So enter Dujon Sterling, and he is eventually man of the match. It's just one master stroke, if I can put it that way, from Philippe Clement after another at the moment. He can do no wrong. 14 games in, 11 wins, 3 draws, last 16 of Europe, first trophy of the season, and the league title race is very much back on. So what more can anyone reasonably ask of this man?
I think credit to the player, though, Kenny, because this is what happens. Yes, Philippe Clement needs the bravery and the conviction to do it, but he also didn't have many other options. It's not like he's plucked Dujon Sterling above 10 others. It was getting down to the bare bones. So you then need the player at that point to step up and make sure that all these absentees aren't an issue for you.
Absolutely, and again, and he deserves full credit for it, does Sterling, because he done well on Thursday night. He's came in again. That was a little preview. Could he do it? Well, he did. I think the role that he was going to ask to get played alongside John Lundstrom, it was going to be one of. I mean, you never seen him on the ball making silky pass. I don't think the game actually had that in it today. So it was going to be a battle. He was going to need to cover a lot of ground quickly. It's one thing he do. He can run quickly. He's got great physicality, and he done it very, very well. I mean, what I would say is, masterstroke. It's worked today. The trophy's been won. Rangers can't be going through games playing with Dujon Sterling in the middle of midfield, you know. So Ryan Jack needs to get back fit. Rascan needs to get back fit. You need to see Cifuentes back in the team. Again, Tom Lawrence says they want to have those guys available, because today there's no doubt that's why the game was kind of like that a lot, but because of a lot of the kind of football players who would potentially be playing in that area of the pitch were missing. You know, take nothing away from the performance and what it was. It was dogged. You know, they took their moment. But Dujon Sterling was absolutely excellent. And for someone, because again, you talk about guys needing rhythm and you talk about guys needing game time to be up to full speed. He's been pitched into a Europa League, a crucial Europa League game in the second half in a foreign position. He's been thrown into a cup final for his third start for Rangers, and he's went and performed the way he's performed. So all credit to him. Yep, Phil Clement's had to pick it, like you say. He probably never had any other real options to play in there. But the player has to, we said at the start, when the players cross that white line, they've got decisions to make, they need to go and perform, and Dujon Sterling did that today.
And perhaps, Gordon, talk about silver lining. Jose Cifuentes has to go off midweek. That allows Dujon Sterling to come on, get 45 minutes, a big game, a big result, big performance. Maybe that helped today.
Yeah, look, I think everyone concerned with Rangers will be happy for a lad, but he's waited for his chance, he's been patient, and when he got his chance in the cup final, it's not his natural position, but he'd have been bursting to play. Of course he would have. I thought, as Kenny says, he wasn't on the ball spraying the ball about and dominating the game, but I was watching him closely in the middle of the park. He looked comfortable, he was sniffing out the danger very, very quickly, taking up good positions. He could be really proud of his performance today. I thought he was excellent in the middle of the park.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that will probably be the end of the calls for now, because we are about to head off. So thanks to Mark and Pollock. Hopefully he enjoyed his day. Hugh Keevins, you want to sum it up for us before we go?
Supporters don't need great games, they need great moments, and the Rangers supporters, out of an average game, have had a great moment. The first big moment under Philippe Clement. They now approach the St Johnstone game with Ibrox on Wednesday night set to be a carnival atmosphere, because the supporters can feel momentum growing in the league as well, and in the last 16 of the Europa League. If you are a Rangers supporter, you are enjoying yourself now.
Well, thank you to Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Andrew Maclean for looking after things in the studio. Thanks to Gordon Dalziel and Kenny Miller for joining me here at Hampden. And of course, as always, the biggest thanks goes to you for listening and calling. We are back tomorrow to look back on quite a weekend from 6 o'clock with Mark Wilson and Andy Halliday. Make sure you join us then.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard with Call Robert Accident Repair. Why call your insurance? Let Robert take away the hassle.
Morrison's Morecard exclusives are feeling festive this Christmas with a 1 litre bottle of Baileys now just $9.99, down from £13. More Christmas cheers. Majority of stores subject to availability. Max cap applies. See in store and online for details. Ends 19th of November. Please drink responsibly.